where the sound is going to be coming from, because I attempted several tests and for some reason it wasn't picking up my little attached microphone here. But are there people here? Where are the comments? Why are they sideways? Orientation is locked. Rotate device. Oh, I'm sideways. Oh, great. That's not how I wanted this to be, but okay. I guess we'll rotate sideways then. We fix the camera. There we go. Okay. Can you see me? All right. I'm going to go ahead and read some of these comments. I believe that the sound is coming from the phone. I'm not 100% sure. It's supposed to be coming from this. So let's see. Wanted to update. My son was born a week ago today. Cove Vanman. Wow, congratulations, Jeremy. That is awesome. Mom and baby are both doing great. I'm so glad. That is amazing. Congratulations, Daddy. That is so exciting. Kayla says, congratulations, that's awesome. And Edmund Horner says, congratulations to you too. So does Luke H. All right, cool. Oh, hey, Ty, could you send him a message saying thank you? Sorry, I stupidly coordinated a pickup of an item that I had to buy on Facebook to happen exactly at this time. So are you able to hear me? Are people able to hear me? I'm wondering if anybody can hear me. Why is my orientation locked like this? I don't like it. Hi, everyone, and Amber. Yes, can hear you. Okay, good. Sound is good. I don't like the orientation being like this because I have to like lean sideways now. Hello. Day says, yes, I can hear you. Louise Sparrow says, you sound good. Summit says, I can hear you. Does it sound like it's coming to this microphone? Or does it sound like it's coming to this microphone? That was a struggle for about a good 15 minutes before getting on here. I was scrambling to try to figure out why, when it was working all before, why did it decide to stop working now? And why can't I freaking rotate this screen? Settings. Nope, there's no way to do it. Wow, I guess I'm stuck like this forever. That sucks. Ugh, okay, well, I'm using the correct mic. It's coming from my lapel. Oh, fantastic. Okay, good. That is awesome. I was afraid it wasn't going to work. Well, I am coming to you live from Lake Kenai. It is, I think you could still see that it's like blue, but see that bluish color there? That is like what the color of the lake is, like the whole thing. It's just gorgeous. It's, I think it's like that because of the glacial runoff. Like this is basically a lake that's formed by a bunch of glaciers melting into it. Let's see. Optional rule says, hello there. Well, hello. Kayla says, 5x5, we can see and hear you well. Nice. And it is coming from my lapel. Thank you, option rule. Thank you, Kaylis47. Okay. So I know that I usually go through a bunch of rules, but to be honest, I've kind of forgotten what some of them were. I remember that there was try to keep it PG-13, like attain PG-13, so that way I can monetize this. Then there was, oh yeah, if you want to talk to me directly, because if I get a lot of messages and I have to skip through some of them, then what I do is I only read the ones that are addressing me directly. So you have to use @TheSwordAndThePen reflections and no spaces in any of that. So @ the Sword and the Pen reflections, and then you can type your message and I'll be able to hear you fine. Yeah, that water is like basically 1 degree above freezing, and the dog's just like off and swimming in it. A little bit ago, they were chasing a moose in those forests. So that forest. I'm a little frazzled because I was scrambling once again, even though I got here like 2 hours early, ready to set up, I was still scrambling at the last second to try to make everything work. And I still didn't get everything to work. Well, I guess apparently it's working now, with the exception of my screen being in the most annoying vertical orientation that oh, this is so annoying. I wish I didn't have to do it this way, but I don't know how to fix it. If anybody knows how to fix it, let me know, because this is not a good way to do this for me. All right, let's keep going. Optional rule says, what are you using for connectivity so you can stream outside like that? I'm actually just using my phone. So this spot here, there's around that corner over there, there's actually some cell phone towers. So I'm in like a zone where there's good reception. But a lot of other places where I am, there's no reception at all. So it was a bit of a gamble. Like, am I going to have it when I get here? But there was good reception the last couple times I was here. So I was just kind of going, I think it'll be fine. And it is. So that works. Hooray. There's supposed to be, what do you call it? Northern lights tonight, like really spectacular northern lights. Now, this is what the sky looks like currently. So I don't know if we'll be able to see them, but I mean, it's supposed to be so glorious. I might just drive somewhere to try and see them because this could be my last chance to see them if I end up going back to Arizona soon. Let's see. Okie Native says, if we hear another dog, the law says this becomes a dog stream. Well, there's 3 of them and they're very vocal, all of them. Their names are Merle, Jules, and Seiko. And I'll point out which one is which. But the brown one, that one is Jules, and he's a Belgian Malinois, and he's a trained bear dog. So there's a viral video of, I don't know if it's him or his cousins, chasing a grizzly bear and attacking it, like literally attacking a grizzly bear, and then coming away from it when they were called off. So it's pretty amazing. I'll see if I can put that somewhere. Maybe when we're done with this live stream, I'll see if I can find the link to it and I'll pin it in the comments so that way people can see where that video is. But let's see. Play History says, my sister lives in Juneau. Cool to see Alaska this time of year. It's beautiful this time of year. That's so cool. Your sister lives in Juneau. She must be seeing really spectacular northern lights because I have been checking Facebook, like, where can I see them? Like, where do I have to go? And pretty much everybody's like, you go to Juneau, you'll see them every night. And I'm like, well, that does me a lot of good when I'm like, I'm like 6 or 7 hours on the other side of the state. Actually, it's not. It's like in the middle of the state, but honestly, the state is so freaking huge that Juneau is far. It'd take a long time for me to get there. Let's see. A day says, a Northern Lights live stream would be the greatest of all time. It might be like, okay, 1 o'clock tonight, this time. So that's, what time are we right now? Right now for me, it's 4 o'clock. So oh my gosh, where's my brain? 9 hours? I think in 9 hours is when it's supposed to happen. So I might go to sleep early and then wake up to try and see them. But I'd have to be somewhere way less cloudy than this. The last time I tried to see the Northern Lights with this many clouds, all I could see was like a faint greenish glow. And I wasn't even sure I was seeing anything. It could have just been my imagination. It could have been my hopes and dreams of seeing the Northern Lights. Let's see. Okie Native says, I interrupted making nochi for this very important doggo stream. Totally worth it. Look at them. They're chasing a stick. I mean, my gosh, they must be freezing. But they love it. I mean, there's no hesitation jumping into that water. Even Merle, the one who's right there. That's the, oh my gosh, some sort of a shepherd. I forget what it's called. But he's probably, I think he's the smartest because he's the clever one. He's one of those shepherds that does. What kind of dog is Merle? What kind of dog is Merle? Border Collie, that's it. I was like, it's the famous one, you know, from Babe. That's what he is. And then the black one, which is Seiko, that one is a mutt. But she looks like at least part lab a little bit. But she's a sweetie. She's a cuddly, but she's definitely a water dog. Like, she'll just stay in there all day. Okay, let's see. Jane and Kay says, you can't mistake the magnetise barrier deflecting solar rays at night. I didn't know that's what it is, but that's okay. No, I definitely don't want to miss that. And if I have to drive hours tonight to go and see it, I may just do that because this is supposed to be a really spectacular show, and I don't know if it'll happen again while I'm still up here. Project CNGG says, howdy. Well, howdy to you too. Okay, so I think we should try to get focused on what I really wanted this stream to be about, or at least to touch on, which is the sins of Moiraine and Galadriel. Like the specific things that they have done that made them very unlikable. Because to just say like, oh, this character has, you know, a bad attitude, or, you know, I don't like the way that they interact with the other characters. It's not specific enough. If you give very, very specific things and try to define why exactly that's unlikable, it helps to figure out what needs to be done to correct that. And that's what my latest video is. So I filmed, was it 2 days ago? 3 days ago. Those of you who are on Instagram saw my video of what I filmed yesterday. I did my best. I really did. I thought I prepared for the worst, and it turns out that Alaska was far more extreme than I was prepared for. But if you're on Instagram, you'll see that I tried to film there and continue my Wheel of Time reviews. But the day before that, I filmed my Theon Greyjoy, the Greyjoy treatment. And I talked a little bit about what you would need to do to fix Moiraine, which is honestly, it's not even fix her, but how to make us feel less like we want to hurt her when she's on screen. And I was going through sort of some of the things that she's done that make her unlikable. And I named the big ones, but I didn't want to go through every single thing. But I think that's really key to figuring out in your characters, especially if you're writing a story, what do I need to do to make this character more likable? And you just look at other characters that are unlikable and see if you're doing those specific things with your character. So let's see. Summit says they both suck compared to their portrayal in the books. Yes, they do. But that's also a very broad statement. Like, how exactly do they suck? Like, what is unlikable about them? Like, for me, I think Moiraine, sometimes it seems like she's doing things that are stupid or counterintuitive to what her apparent goal is. But since they don't articulate exactly what her goal is, sometimes you go like, well, I guess this could be falling in line with her mystery goal, whatever that is, but we don't know what. It's very annoying. Like, that's how they're covering their asses, excuse the language, is that they're not defining everything. So you could do anything and it supposedly counts. It doesn't. All right, let's see. Play History says, which would you rather watch? Which would I rather watch the Northern Lights with? I don't know. I think Galadriel would maybe be a little more reverent and Moiraine would not. She'd probably just be pessimistic. She'd assume that it's a sign of the end of times. And I would have to say maybe Galadriel. I think between the two of them, I dislike Galadriel a little bit less than I dislike Moiraine. And I think a lot of that has to do with just that I'm so familiar with what Moiraine at this point is supposed to be that I don't understand why the writers have chosen to do the things that they're doing with her. Like, if they wanted her to be the main character, why make her so horrible? Why make her so unlikable? Let's see. Summit says, well, Moron might just randomly murder you, so Gladdy is probably safer to hang out with. Yes, that's true. I mean, who knows what Moiraine is going to do? Nobody knows what her plan is, and she says that she's, she's on the side of the light, but she acts like a villain half the time. And we could say the same for Galadriel, but at least she seems to be looking for a distinction between darkness and light. And it's a little bit more black and white in The Lord of the Rings. So it's a safer bet. Like, if she definitely steers off into the dark, it would be more obvious. Although when she was given snark to Elrond after he was doing everything he could to do the right thing, that was not particularly reassuring. Let's see. Okie Native says, you fix her by giving her cheese and Mexican food interrupted by copious amounts of wine. That's what social media memes say to do. That might be how to get a girlfriend. Giving her cheese and Mexican food interrupted by copious amounts of wine. Honestly, that kind of sounds like a nice weekend. So I went on this boat cruise yesterday. It wasn't a cruise, it was a tour. Well, it was a cruise tour, whatever. It was a tour. And they served hot burritos, and they made way too many, and they had a ton of extra. So I had like 4 of them, but I wasn't eating them because I was hungry or they tasted good. I mean, they were okay. I'm used to really good Mexican food living in Arizona, but I was eating them because I just wanted to be warm. It was so cold. I was like holding the burritos like, oh my gosh, I should stand this thing up. One sec. Dog, stop fighting over the stick. There's plenty of sticks for everybody. Wonder if I can set this on here. Oh, there we go. Now I can use both my hands instead of having to not. There. Okay. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah. I just ended up eating it because I was trying to stay warm. Like I would hold the burrito like this to get my hands warm because it was so freaking cold on that deck. And I tried to stay out on the deck recording like as much as I possibly could. And I know that not all of what I filmed is going to be usable because it was so windy and so rainy. Like it was pouring rain. It's hard to tell in the video. Like I think in the movies they actually will put like a creamy sort of a fluid in water for rain, so that way you can actually see it on camera because it's really hard to see on camera. But it was pouring rain. It felt like shards of glass, freezing cold glass hitting me in the eyeballs. It was awful. But I was determined to try to do my review that way, and I did as much as I can. I know not all of it will be usable, but I'll see what I can salvage. Oh yeah, but I'm missing some delicious Mexican food. Those 4 burritos were warm, but they weren't the best. They weren't bad. And then they served really good cookies at the very end. They were baking them while we were on the cruise. And I was just like, I'll have some cookies, please. And they're like, oh, you'll get one at the end. Like, I can't wait that long. RM says, in the books, they have some wisdom. In the TV series, they are too girl bossy. I would say, yeah, that's true. But again, you want to kind of pinpoint exactly in what way, because we're not against female leadership. I think that's something that gets mistaken a lot, is that, okay, you don't like the girl boss. That's not it. I'm okay with a girl in a position of leadership, but it has to be an earned position, just as it would have to be with a guy. Like if a guy comes in and he's the leader guy and he's just bossing everybody around, but he hasn't shown any reason why people should follow him, I don't believe it. And I don't like it. I get annoyed anytime that they start forcing people to do the things that they want to do, or expecting that people are going to do what they want to do. And I'm like, why would anybody do what you want to do when you're just sitting there demanding it instead of showing us why you deserve it? So you got to show that this is a character that people should want to follow before you get them to a point where it's like people aren't following them that should. And then the audience is going, you should be following him. You should be going with them. Sort of like when Aragorn shows up and is taking care of Frodo and Sam and Merry and Pippin. Fram, is that their new couple name? Oh my gosh. Anyway, you know what I mean. When we know that he's a good leader and they go off on the fellowship together, everybody with Boromir and everybody, and anybody is standing up to Aragorn, getting rebellious, or, they're having disagreements. We want Aragorn to be the one who is in charge. And we're like, come on, you guys, like he's the wise one. You definitely should be going for him, like follow him. That's because we have seen him make wise decisions. We have seen him be compassionate. We have seen him having a history of being alone, following the light, I guess not the light, but, following a righteous path. And we're unfamiliar with everybody else, or at least a little more unfamiliar. So we expect them to go follow Aragorn after seeing him be a good leader. Let's see, I should probably focus on what people are asking now. Okay, Play History says Galadriel would probably be slightly quieter. Yeah, I think she would too. I think that she would see the natural phenomenon of the aurora borealis and think it's some spiritual thing. I don't know, but either way, I think she would regard it with some reverence, and I just don't see Moiraine doing that. Play History also says her whole stuff with Lan in season 2 is so dumb compared to what goes on in the book. It's painfully unlikable. Yeah, I'm almost done with book 4, The Shadow Rising, and she's not in it a whole lot, but what they have shown is nothing but these are two people who are really, really close. I can't imagine this thing happening. Maybe it does at some future point, but honestly, I would have to see a lot of change in their relationship for it to get to that. So you couldn't just drop in and be like, okay, now Moiraine does, she's going to start treating Lan like garbage. I'm not going to assume that she has a good reason for that at all. I'm just going to assume she's being an a-hole, unless I have seen something happen to her, seen her go through something that makes me go, I know why she's doing that. Because the reason that they had, she's been cut off from the one power, that's not a good enough reason. That is not a good enough reason to treat him like garbage. Okay, here we go. Christopher Lambert, thank you so much for the $2. I wanted to hear my name on a live stream. Well, Christopher Lambert, you have now heard it. And I will say, Christopher Lambert, however many times you need it to be said, so that your need to hear your name, Christopher Lambert, is satisfied. Thank you, Christopher Lambert. That was really good. Like, I honestly, so for folks who don't know, why did I say honestly? Well, for folks who don't know, even my best videos ever since November of last year don't make much money. They make about $40 a video. I mean, it doesn't matter if I've got, 5 digits in viewership. It's around $40 a video. And that was something in the algorithm changed in November of last year. And you'll notice that there's a bunch of YouTubers who did videos about it and talked about it. I don't know what it is, but I went from making like, yay, I'm actually making like, $100 a video to now I'm making way less. So it was a hit, but my ability to continue doing what I'm doing comes from support from things like this, hitting the money heart thanks button, or from my patrons. And I honestly, I keep saying I'm stuck on that word. I need to get over it, man. But it's that's how I'm able to keep doing this. And I upgraded a ton of my equipment. Like, as you guys can tell, like, okay, so this microphone here, I can't believe I waited so long to upgrade to these little microphones. I was so resistant. I actually got another set that I thought was expensive, but it was $100 cheaper than this one, I think. And it didn't work. I was like, no, I'm not going to get the super expensive one. I don't know why $100 more to me was like so much more expensive, but I was like, I was resisting getting it. And honestly, oh my gosh, there it is again. Honestly, what is going on? This is such a huge difference. Like, it's no comparison. I cannot recommend these microphones enough. I have struggled through lavalier mics and struggled and struggled and struggled. And this was like, it works immediately. It's very little work on my part. I literally just pull them out of their case and it synchronizes with the receiver, and I plug the receiver into a device and it synchronizes with that, and it records right into the microphone. So it can record into the recording device, like the phone or the camera, while simultaneously recording into this little box here. So that way I have like a backup recording just in case. It's so much better. Anyway, I'm so glad that I was able to get these. Okay, Okie Native says, TV Moiraine, unfortunately, is how a large portion of Aes Sedai act in the books, but not written as well. Sadly, without the ability to grow and learn that Robert Jordan had for most of them. Yeah, I still feel like I haven't gotten to a lot of the parts with Moiraine where I'm seeing her grow. I mean, I have seen her at this point saying like, look, Rand is doing everything that he's fulfilling prophecy all on his own. Like, he is doing the stuff that the dragon is supposed to do without my assistance anyway. Like, she's learning to kind of let go of trying to take control. So I'm thinking that that's going to be the direction where they're going to take the Aes Sedai. Is like, they have to just let it go. Like, so the well, in the show, they had Egwene jump into that river, and the moment she stopped fighting it and she just let it go, sort of like embracing the bud in the books. That is, I think, the lesson that the Aes Sedai need to learn that maybe wasn't learned. They're trying to control the dragon, which would be a masculine thing, really, because that's how the masculine side of the power works. I think that's going to be their lesson, is that they need to let go and let him do what he feels instinctually to do. And like, that will be the best, that will result in the best outcome. Just a theory. That's what I would do. Summit. Hooray. Shaky cam is gone. Yes. I'm so sorry about that shaky cam. I am not a fan of it. I wish I could make it horizontal. I don't like this vertical thing. Arlene says, they have no subtlety and common sense, common sense, I think is what you meant, too cartoonish. Yeah, subtlety seems to be an issue with the writers of both Rings of Power and Wheel of Time. My sister has been listening to the Rings of Power as I've been watching, and I look over every once in a while and I just see her like rolling her eyes or like chuckling at what she's hearing. It does sound very juvenile, even when they're trying to write something that sounds, poetic, or this sounds Tolkien-esque. It sounds really juvenile. It sounds like and the reason is because they are not using metaphor as much. They are or when they do, it doesn't fit as well, or it's too blunt or too obvious. It doesn't feel ancient. There's a lot of different things that you can do to make metaphor feel like this is a part of their language. Let's see, what was I'd have to think a lot more about it, honestly, because I'm trying to pull up in my brain things that I recall Galadriel in The Lord of the Rings saying. But it's just one of those things where I think you need to step back and look at what you're doing and see if it seems like it's obvious you're trying to be flowery with your language. If it doesn't come out and feel natural, it needs to go. But that's not ever going to be something that you okay, not how do I say this? I'm getting back to why it's not subtle. There's no subtlety because half the time they are just saying the way things are. That's literally the definition of subtlety. The dog sees something in the woods, stalking it. Oh, whatever it is, they're all going after it. It's probably a squirrel. Oh my gosh, there's my pores. All right, let's see. I think I've kind of covered this. Did I cover the subtlety thing? I'm trying to get better at not just barely touching on subjects, instead making sure I thoroughly discuss them. What was I talking about? Oh yeah. Essentially, instead of letting the audience read between the lines what's going on with a particular character or situation, they're just saying what it is, as if they're assuming that their audience is stupid. But then they're trying to say it with all this flowery language. But because the metaphor is so blunt and so obvious, it feels like I can hear you writing this. I can, I'm not immersed in this anymore. This sounds like somebody trying to be Tolkien-esque. So you really have to go through it point by point to give an accurate assessment of what needs to be done, because I think it's a lot of different things. Play History says, Aes Sedai are petty in the books, but not inordinately stupid. Yeah, I haven't really seen anybody be stupid. Like, remember Leandrin in season 1 of the show? She was so dumb. I didn't understand what they were doing with that character at all. I was like, is she supposed to be the villain? Like, I kind of like her as the villain, but she was just so stupid. Now, she did a much better job. They did a much better job with her, that is, in season 2, when they had her kind of manipulating, oh my gosh, what's her name? Not Egwene, not Elaine, Nynaeve. I'm blocking the names out of my head at this point. It took me until now to realize you aren't carrying a bird around on your jacket that looks like a bird. I guess I could probably take the dead cat off. That's what it's called, a dead cat. It prevents the wind from making that sound like that. I'm sure that blew out people's speakers. Sorry about that. You just pop it on like this. And voila. I got a pink one because it goes with some of my shirts. So Play History says F-R-A, yep, Fram. It's going to be the new Frodo Sam name. Project CNGG says, the writers want us to go, oh, so that's why Moiraine was such a bitch to everyone. She was sacrificing her relationships to save the world, but that doesn't explain why she's an idiot. That is very well said, Project CNGG. I have to agree that I think you've nailed it right there. Because not only is she being horrible to everybody, it doesn't make sense half the time, the things that she's doing. It's like she's being horrible to people and you're going, this is a stupid thing to do. Like, this isn't, even if she's doing it for the reasons that she's supposedly doing it, it doesn't make sense. So a good example would be her leaving the house on a horse, not telling anybody where she's going, and then getting attacked by 3 Murdral. Was it 3 or 2? It doesn't matter. Either way, she should be dead. And she was lucky that Lan was able to track her still, because apparently she knows her tell. Let's see. Okie Native says, also, that is a sweater. Also that it's a sweater. Also that it's a sweater. I'm lost. Okie Native, what did you say last? Took me to realize that you aren't carrying a bird around on your jacket. Also that it's a sweater. This is a sweater? It is a sweater. It's a cheap sweater. I got this at Forever 21 for about 15 bucks, I think, maybe like 10 years ago, but it's made of plastic, so it's pilling like crazy. Shy says, one of the many issues of Moron treating Lan badly. The show doesn't truly acknowledge she's being crap. Lan never claps back. She isn't criticized. She's just allowed to do it with no consequences. Yeah, okay, so Lan does clap back, but then he seems to like, yeah, okay, I should, just go along with it. And, like, because he, remember that episode where he brought her dinner and then kind of just waited for her to come back, and then she didn't because she had been running away, and then he goes to save her life. And I mean, there's no change in her character at all through that entire experience. Like, she should have come out of that different, treating him different, doing something different, but nothing. She still treats him like garbage. She still puts herself in danger. It makes no sense. Shy says, Sword and a Pen Reflections. Hello. I see the highlight, but I didn't see anything else. Did you put anything else in that message? I didn't see anything. Let's see. Praterzen says, doggos. Yes, they're around. They've run off into the woods in that direction. I don't know what they're chasing. Probably squirrels. I can hear squirrels, but I don't know. Maybe it's squirrels. Maybe it's birds. Maybe it's another moose. Who knows? Trip says, they make the error of making them girl bosses by removing male agency. Mo's power at first was the mystique of Aes Sedai and not over-explaining. Come with me or die. Okay. Mo's power at first was the mystique of Aes Sedai and not over-explaining. Come with me or die. Okay, so that is a flaw. I don't understand why this message hasn't gotten out to all writers in Hollywood. The worst thing that you can do to make your hero seem stronger, more powerful, a better person is surround them with people who are weak or bad, or dumb. That does not make them look kinder or smarter or more powerful. It just makes them look better than bad or better than dumb or better than weak. This doesn't seem to be something that people are registering in their heads. You're not going to, here's what you want to do. You want to take a group of smart people. They're very smart. Like us in the audience, we're going, dang, that's what I think we should do. We should do what those people are saying. And then you have little leader person come in here and say, actually, if we do that, we're going to be screwed. We should do this other thing instead. And we go, holy crap, I was one of the stupid people. That person's right. That's exactly what we should be doing. You have to be very clever with how you write things. Like, you can lead your audience to believe that the popular opinion is the one that they should believe. Like, you can lead them into thinking a certain thing, like this is what you should do. You don't do that by withholding information. You do it by suggestion, so you keep the data out there so that way your reader or your viewer they could have thought of it, but you were subtle enough with it that it wasn't the most obvious thing to them. Like, you want their instant thoughts to go to, ooh, we should do this. And then you have the clever person come in and say, actually, if we do that, this bad thing will be happening. And we go, you're right. Why didn't I think of that? And the reason you didn't think of it is because the writer was leading you to believe that is where our brains should go. So you make your leader look good by, yes, making them more clever than everybody else, but you can't make these people stupid. You can't make it look like they're so dumb, because then the audience is going, these guys are idiots. They are complete morons. And then when the smart person comes along and says, you should do this, we're going like, yeah, go do that. Like, it doesn't, at that point, it doesn't matter how clever they are compared to everybody else. We're just mad that the whole world is full of idiots. And then this person comes along with a logical solution. But see, since you didn't make us believe like you should go do this particular thing, and then have smart guy come in and say, actually, you guys should do this. Because you didn't do that, you didn't bring your readers or your viewers on that journey of being part of the crowd, of being part of the group that thinks like this would be the right thing, and like this is how we should do this. This is why Sherlock Holmes is such a popular protagonist, because we're in Watson's head, and we're kind of solving crimes and picking up on stuff with Watson, because that's where our brains are. Like, we see why he is coming to certain conclusions. We're going, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense, because we're looking through his head or through his eyes. But then Sherlock comes in and says, actually, that's not the way that it is. And he explains the way that it really is. And we go, I wouldn't have thought of that. And then when you see the final result and everything is revealed, you go, oh, that's how it is. I get it now. Okay, that makes perfect sense. No wonder I was thinking something else. I was so zoned in on what Watson was seeing. Anyway, okay, I got to get back to reading this stuff before I forget. Darkwing Duck says, yay. Well, yay also. I'm not sure what we're yaying about, but I'm yaying that this works. Let's see. Okie Native says, whoops. Would you say your phrase of honesty is as overused as dropped like a sack of potatoes? I honestly haven't heard. I did it again. I know it was not intentional. I have not heard dropped like a sack of potatoes in a while. I'll tell you what one of my favorite ones is though. Dumb as a bag of hammers. That has to be my favorite. Dumb as a bag of hammers. You know what dumb as a bag of hammers is from? Do you guys know? Dumb as a bag of hammers. I'm sure it's a colloquialism somewhere, but the first time I heard it was in a movie. There go the dogs into the water again. It's starting to rain. Oh no. Play History says, you're about to get to the best Moiraine moment in the next book. Well, I can't wait because I do want to see why the heck these writers were so fixated on making Moiraine the protagonist. Because up until now, I'm kind of like, I like her, but I don't get it. She's not such an interesting character that I'm going like, dang, it'd be cool to see a story from her perspective. Trip says, but in the show, they made Moiraine mean and a bully. She is a bully, and for no reason. The thing, what you're saying is totally true, and it's part of her stupidity. Like if you're steamrolling over people and you're manipulating people and throwing it in their face, like the way she treats Bail Dolman in that first episode, or just the way she treats people, like do what I say and then F you. You're making enemies everywhere you go. At some point, she's going to tick off the wrong person and she's going to suffer for it. And honestly, oh my gosh, there it was again. I wish that had happened when she didn't have her power or her ability to channel, because then she would have really realized, like, this is what I do to other people. This is what I do to others. Like, we would hope that she's that self-reflective. Play History says, or is that book 6? Well, I don't know. You tell me. Trip says, I'm very distracted by the beautiful scenery. Isn't it gorgeous? My goodness. Maybe I should go over here and show you guys some of the other scenery. So that is a child's tent that I purchased with the intention of, if it ever rains and I come out to a place like this to film, I can just sit in there and film. And I'll tell you what, that tent is not meant for children to put up. I put up many tents in my life. I was a Girl Scout. I am a lifetime Girl Scout member. And it took every ounce of strength that I had. Like, I'm pretty sure my hands are going to get early arthritis just for trying to stick those tent poles into the little sleeve at the bottom. I don't know what they're thinking. It's probably made in China and all the sizing is wrong. But anyway, here is the view in the other direction. It's harder to tell maybe, but it is, oh my gosh, there's my forehead. Well, whatever. Anyway, it's gorgeous. Like the lighting here is just spectacular. I wish I had this thing on freaking horizontal. Maybe if I just tilt it, will it do it on its own? Orientation is locked. Rotate device back. I don't want to, but okay. Okay. Let's see. Okie Native says, you would have to restart the stream to change it from vertical to streaming aspect. Well, that's disappointing, but thank you for letting me know. Now I know to really be sure that it's in the right orientation before I start. Let's see. Shy says, oh, that's to Trip. Hey, nice to see you. Trip says, hey, Shy. Shy says, and agreed. Pretty background with doggos. Yeah, the dogs they're just like, honestly, I'm not going to say it. I stopped myself before I said it all the way. What was I going to say? Oh, I've always enjoyed having dogs. I haven't had them my whole life. Like I've only had Sorsha for, how old is she now? 9. I've had her for 9 years, and we had a dog for a year before that. Before that, I didn't have them. I didn't grow up with them because we were always like, oh, we're too allergic to them. And then I found out about hypoallergenic dogs, and I was like, well, I'm kind of allergic to hypoallergenic dogs. And then I found out you can get like super hyperallergenic dogs. And I'm like, okay, let's look into that. And we did, and it worked out. Like I went and there we go. I went and got some fur samples sent to me from a breeder of this particular breed because I was like, I have to make sure I'm not allergic to a dog I want to live with. And I tested it on several parts of my body and, with scratching and pinpricks and stuff like that. And I had no reaction. Um, they just don't secrete as much oil, very, very little oil. And that's what I'm allergic to. So, depending on the dog breed, the more hypoallergenic they are, the less oil they secrete. Like that's the deal. So, I forgot how we got to that. But oh yeah, uh, having dogs is like watching National Geographic in your backyard. I love it. To me, I just love watching them, prowl around or, play or wrestle. Like to me, I could just watch that all day. It's like watching a baby learning how to stand up and walk and talk. It's really fun. Let's see. Play History says House of the Dragon season 1 had some subtlety, but I guess all writers' rooms get told this is too obtuse and they need to dumb things down. Really? Okay, where did you hear that? Because I've always want to know what's going on in the writer room. Which I should actually I need to make send out an email to my friend at Netflix because I want to ask some questions about decisions that are made in the writing room. And it's been a while since we've chatted. Do, 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 do. But yeah, did you hear this? Like, was this in an interview or something? Like, where did you get that info from? Because that's interesting to me. Because they actually say this is too obtuse. I Do they realize that people don't like being talked down to? Like a child even is more likely to be engaged in and excel in a class that is just a little bit too hard for them than they are for one that's way too easy for them. That they just look at it and go like, this is dumb. I already know it. This is the way it is. So anyway, I could go on and on about that. Shai says, rest in peace to the squirrel. They probably could catch it, but I think it got away. I mean, these are real squirrels. They're not urban squirrels. These are squirrels that run away from foxes and I don't know what else they have out here. Bald eagles. There's a couple bald eagles flying around here right before the stream started. They're like pigeons here, just so you know. So if you ever want to see a bald eagle, if they got a squirrel, the dogs. Oh, my sister is just saying that the dogs probably wouldn't know what to do with the squirrel if they got it. They'd be like, okay, here's a squirrel. Let's see. Trip says, in Rings of Power, Galadriel comes across as more desperate, pick-me young woman rather than the wise, but still somewhat immature elf she should be at this point. I think, yeah, that for me, she feels like a teenager. And that seems so wrong for an elf who's supposed to be over 1,000 years old. I mean, she's at least 1,000 years old at this point, right? The kind of pride that she should have, this stubbornness and this rebelliousness that she goes through, which I know is accurate to the book because I've been doing some more research on what her character is like. And I'm still reading the Silmarillion, yes. It should be something different from what a human experiences. Otherwise, they are just people with pointy ears. And that is not the case at all. That was a big problem that I had with a lot of the elves in season 1, is that they felt like people with pointy ears. And they shouldn't feel like that at all. They should feel like almost like they're from another time, another existence. Like they should feel very almost displaced in this universe. I think Peter Jackson actually did a very good job with portraying the elves. Even Legolas felt like he was from somewhere else while he was hanging out with the Fellowship. Shai says, gone is the Galadriel, the amazing judge of character, she who could see the darkness in others. Oh, do you mean in like what we're seeing now in season 1 and 2 of Rings of Power? I'm assuming that they're going to have her develop that ability, which isn't bad. You have to come across people who have darkness in them in order to learn how to see it in others before it's really visible to others. But also that was a magical ability of hers in The Lord of the Rings, is that she could read people's hearts. She could see into their minds. And I think that's another power that we're seeing kind of the start of her magic powers developing or blossoming, because she's not really learning them. She's just kind of acquiring them. So I think that they're going to do that, which isn't a bad thing to do, but her personality is where the problem is. Let's see. Trip says Galadriel had to grow into the wise protector we see in Lord of the Rings. Okay, yeah, you basically just said what I said a second ago. Save yourself. Thank you very much. 20 bucks, Australian bucks, I believe. Unfortunately, I think you're stuck trying to be nice to writers who have no understanding of their craft. As an editor, have you never had a writer where it's obvious that they do not have the basic talent to write? Okay, so I think this is the thing. I don't know what is going on behind the scenes in Rings of Power. And in the last year, I have learned that there are a lot of factors that go into writing a show, well, the final product of a show that we see today. I would always imagine that there's just a small group of people who work on the writing and they're in charge of it. And then you have, either the director or the showrunner, somebody who's like, I'm overseeing everything, like one final brain to keep everything together. Hopefully you have a couple of people who are doing that, but some of them are in charge of making decisions and others are just in charge of making sure things are consistent. I thought that's how it goes. I thought that's how it would be. Like, this is how you write shows today. Like, that's how I thought it's always been done. But I have learned that is not the case, that there are a lot of people who have no experience in writing, who come into these writers' rooms and say, and because they are in a higher position, they say, you're going to do this in this story and you're not going to do this thing in this story. Even though they have already got a script that works really well the way it is. And then they're like, but we can't do that because it doesn't work for this character. And they'll be like, don't care, you're doing it. This is what we want to do in this show. Or you're not doing it. This is not what we want to do in this show. And they have no choice. Some of the stories that I'm hearing, I'm not going to get into details because I don't want to get people in trouble, but I am hearing about decisions that we all look at and go, oh, that's terrible. Why would they do this? Like, why would any writer with any amount of talent do this? I'm finding out that sometimes the writers didn't do that. Sometimes it was somebody else coming in and saying, you have to do this. And they're just like, okay, I guess this is what we have to do. And it's a battle. There's a battle behind the scenes between people who know storytelling and how to do it well and people who don't, that happen to be in higher positions. A discussion that I was having with somebody about this was who's in the know, was telling me that essentially, I'm trying to say this without being specific. Maybe I just shouldn't. I don't know how I could do that without being specific. But the deal is that there are people who are stepping in and as a person who is in charge. And because they like something or don't like something, that's why choices are being made with no regard for whether or not it's good for the material that's being written or whether it's like accurate to source material if it's an adaptation. And there's a lack of understanding of this is how you should do this. Like, this is what storytelling and writing is. They come from a business background or they come from some other kind of a background, but now they're in this position where they're making creative decisions about storytelling and they're going with their gut instinct, like a very fearful gut instinct that I got to do what I like what I think is right. And anyway, I won't get too much more into it, but that's what I've been learning. So yes, I have come across writers who don't have any writing talent, but people can learn. I'm not saying that they can be like great, but they can learn to improve. I'm just saying that judging something that I have no idea what's happening behind the scenes, I can say that was stupid, but I'm not going to say the writers were stupid unless one of them comes out and says, I made that choice because I thought it was great. And I'll be like, well, then you're stupid. So, you. Let's see. Okie Native says, because I called it a jacket and not a sweater. Oh, got it. The jacket. I've got my jacket in the truck. It's too heavy and too wet. Or it's waterproof and I don't need to wear that right now. Shy says, the highlight was because I couldn't fit it in the message. Sorry. Oh, got it. I got to you anyway. You have a long username. Yes, I know. And I'm sorry. Honestly, I didn't finish the word. I really wanted my main channel to be the sword and the pen, but for some reason I went with the sword and the pen reflections thinking like this will be my casual channel, but I put way too much work in those earlier videos. I am hoping to eventually like get away from that again and have my nicely edited videos will be on the sword and the pen, and then my casual videos where I just cut out the blank spaces, you know, where I'm not talking, and just upload a video like that. Basically minimal work. That will be the reflections, because I don't want to put a lot of work into these videos anymore. If I can put more out, that's better. But because mine are so long, it already takes like a full day to put together a half-hour video, and that's without adding clips in at all. Let's see. Arlene says, in both shows, they are trying too hard to show villains with compassionate backstories. I mean, Baby Orcs and Leandrin's son. Okay, I gotta say, Leandrin's son was done better. The Baby Orcs, though, I don't understand this. And it actually, we kind of got hints that this is what was going to happen in season 1, when what's his face, the leader elf guy, was talking about the orcs as being like his children. And I was wondering how far they were going to take that. And we found out in season 2, I think it was the 3rd episode, that's where they decided to take it. And unfortunately, it does something weird to the lore of Middle Earth, because I'm pretty sure that the orcs are just supposed to be like the spawn of hell, essentially. And Uruk-hai, I know what they are. I know what the origin is, but they are a corrupted being. They're not something that was once good and then turned corrupted. They were developed from a breed that was created out of corruption, essentially. So you're not taking something that was good and then turning it bad. It's literally the result of bad. I don't know how else to say that. Anyway, it was so cringy though. The baby, like, it's like, oh, the poor baby orc. Like, oh my gosh. Do you guys realize what? Have you seen the Gandalf reacts to that? I think I put it in my last video. I love Gandalf reacts. I did not watch season 1 to the end because I was interested in season 1 and seeing it to the end. I watched it because I wanted to get all of the jokes in Gandalf reacts, and they're so funny. They are spot on. This person obviously knows the lore of Middle Earth very well, because he's dropping info that I'm completely unaware of, and I'm going, is that accurate? I'm like, oh, it is. Okay. And just the humor is so clever. And it's so well performed. I know that it's a AI to alter the voice, but there's not an AI to accurately create intonation in the way that we're seeing it done. And it is so funny. Oh my gosh, the way baby Elrond goes, orcs have wives and babies. Well, that's not what I was led to believe. Summit. Was that in Oh Brother Where Art Thou? Yes, it was. Dumb as a bag of hammers. Boy, you do are dumber than a bag of hammers. I love that. Is it Ulbelk or Yulbelk? Where are you in the books? I am. What is the part I'm reading about right now? Okay, Nynaeve and Elaine are in. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of the place. But they've been looking for the Black Aja. We basically just left Perrin talking to the White Cloaks and being like, okay, I'm gonna, you can come and help us defend the village, or you can leave. Like, we're not gonna, fight you. We don't want you guys coming in here without our permission. You're not allowed to do that anymore. But if you do want to help us to defend everybody, you're welcome to do that. And so I just left that situation, and now I'm with Nynaeve and Elaine in Tarballen? No. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of the town. Anyway, but that's where I'm at. Let's see. Isn't the original phrase supposed to be sharp as a bag of hammers? Oh, maybe it is. I didn't. So where did this come from? Okie Native, if you know where it came from, because I've never heard it until I heard it in Oh Brother Where Art Thou and Dumb as a Bag of Hammers. Honestly, sharp as a bag of hammers sounds even better. I like that. Prater Zinn says, dumber than a bag of hammers is from Oh Brother Where Art Thou? Yes, it is. Bantersnaven? Not sure how you say that. That or Zoolander Summit. Zoolander. Oh, we're in a tight spot. The files are in the computer. I think we're in a tight spot is that's Oh Brother. Like, damn, we're in a tight spot. That's George Clooney. And that's got to be the only movie I've seen him in that I really liked him in. Then the files are in the computer, and then you see what's his face. What's the name of the guy in Zoolander? Hansel. I forget his name. He goes, they're in the computer. It's so simple. I love that. Okie Native, if you read the prequel, A New Spring, you get a better view of Moiraine. I know everybody tells me to keep reading A New Spring, but I'm one of those people who prefers to read books in the order that they were published rather than chronological order. If you want to have the experience that the writer intended, you got to do it in chronological order, or not in publishing order, because that's how the world got it. That's what they did. That's what they were. Their impulse was, I'm going to release it like this. And then they do things like prequels, and people go, oh, you should read that first. Well, now we've removed some of the mystery of Moiraine and what her backstory is, which makes her an intriguing character in the early books if you have a prequel that kind of reveals all of that stuff. So read it when it was published, in what order it was published. I don't know what book it was published after. Was it the last book to be published? I don't know. I honestly didn't even look into that. Shy says, Ulbelk, she is finishing. Oh, there we go. You're answering somebody else. Okie Native says, a Girl Scout. So what you're telling us is you have a hookup for cookies. I do. I was a champion Girl Scout cookie seller, and I could probably live off of Thin Mints. So I don't know if you've ever seen that comedian Brian Regan. He's hilarious, but he talks about eating Fig Newtons. He's like, talks about how it must be a joke that the serving size for Fig Newtons is 2 cookies. And he's like, I eat Fig Newtons by the sleeve. I'm like a wood chipper, just like, I'm the same way with Thin Mints. You cannot have a box of Thin Mints in my house without me knowing where it is and not consuming it. Like, I will eat the whole box in one sitting, probably within an hour, if I know where that box is. So we actually have to hide them in the house from me. And they're best if you freeze them. And well, we live in Arizona, so it's really hot. So it's just nice to have frozen food. Like frozen grapes are great, and frozen Girl Scout cookies, but specifically the Thin Mints. I also like I like the s'mores, the caramel ones, but I can't have too many of those. There's something very rich about those. And I also like tagalongs. Tagalongs are like a crunchy Reese's peanut butter cup, but with dark chocolate. And I'm really into that. Trip says, absolutely stunning. And thank you for making me laugh. I needed that today. I wonder what I did that made you laugh, because honestly, everything, oh my gosh, sorry, I said honestly again. A lot of stuff is laughable. I don't know if my makeup's melting. Is that melting? Or is that a shadow? Who knows? Could be both. Let's see. Lots of little flies. At least they're not mosquitoes. Ubelk says, like after the history. Oh, okay. Chris Walsh says, most beautiful stream location. I know, I'm so lucky. I'm going to do more here, but I'll do them in horizontal orientation so you can enjoy more of this view, because it's really beautiful. And as soon as my sister told me, like, I know a place that's really pretty and it's got good reception, I was like, good. I want to put my stream there because I want people to be able to see how beautiful this place is. But I don't like the light when I'm over there. I like it when I'm standing right here, if I can get this thing right. There we go. The sun is, I don't know where the sun is anymore, but the light is coming from that side. So if I'm facing that way, I'm like in shadow. If I'm this way, oh, look, that's much nicer. But then you only see forest, see? Tricks you learn in studying lighting. Here we go. That's probably the best, but then you can't see anything. Okay, forget it. Move back to here. There, now you can see the water. Still blue over there a little bit. It's getting dark though, so it's looking less and less blue. Praterzin says, if you take a shot every time Amber says honest or a derivative thereof, you'll get alcohol poisoning in 30 minutes. Yeah. You know, it's just how it goes. Every once in a while, people get words stuck in their head. It's like it's just trapped in your mouth, and it's trying to come out every time you say something. I'm going to try and break it though. Within this stream, if I can prevent myself from saying that word till the rest of the stream, I win. I don't know. I win getting ice cream on the way home. They make very good ice cream here in Alaska. Shy says, oh, something to roll back. And Shy says, interesting. Don't know what that was for. Did I skip anybody? Oh, Banter's Bantersnaven or Snaven, I'm not sure how to say it. She's a real scout, correctly used the sign for physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. Correct. But you know what? It's been so long, I've forgotten what these two stand for. Hey, do you remember what these two fingers mean? Oh, she's got her earbuds in. She can't hear me. Do you remember what you have no idea? They mean something. Why do I think it's like justice and honesty? I don't know, something like that. Friendship and honesty? Friendship and loyalty? I mean, friendship and loyalty is basically the same thing. That is? I won't do that. What is it? You're not going to say it? Okay. Apparently, I made a gesture that might be a bad term in sign language. I apologize to any viewers who are deaf. I hope that I've got subtitles coming up because I don't know any sign language except like Apple. Let's see. Trip says, dumb as a bag of hammers appears to be from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Funny movie. Yes, it is. Play History says, I have no actual insights into writing rooms. It was just a critique in how things get dumbed down. I honestly, crap, I lost. Damn it. I already lost it. That was so fast. I don't think I even lasted 5 minutes. Anyway, I was going to say that I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, if somebody comes in and says, hey, this is a little bit too cerebral. This is too much for audiences. We need it to be simpler so that people can understand it. But I think that there's this belief that you're going to open the doors to a wider audience if you make it simpler like that. But think about how many people don't enjoy the Disney Plus Star Wars shows that are coming out because they are too little kiddish. Little kids can enjoy the old Star Wars movies, the episode 4, 5, and 6. They watch it and enjoy it. And yeah, the writing is not like brilliant, but it doesn't feel little kiddish for the majority of the interactions between the real life character, the human characters. Then you get the comedic relief, you get the robots, right? Androids. I don't remember what they droids, androids. Okay. Mosquitoes are starting to come out now. Trip and Peeps 56 watching, 34 likes. Give Amber some love, please. Hey, thank you so much, you guys. Bantersnaven and Sorsha. She is my sun, my moon, my my starlit sky. Without her, there is no light. I live in darkness. Yes, Mad Mardigan. So, as in the story I was telling earlier, I got Sorsha from a breeder who breeds this specific mix that's hypoallergenic. Can't speak today, obviously. And I didn't know if I was going to get a boy or girl because I was looking for specific demeanor. I wanted her to be good with kids and work with me as a sort of a therapy dog, not for myself, but because I worked with kids who came from situations of abuse and neglect. And I wanted her to be able to interact with them. I used to take the kids to a humane society, the kids that I was working with, and they would just do so well with these big dogs. And I was like, they feel safe with these big dogs. And like so we would always be brought the big fluffy ones. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a big fluffy dog. And my sister up here had told me about this particular breed and was like, it's hypoallergenic. You should check it out. And I did it. And I was like, I don't know if I'm getting a boy or girl, but it needs to be perfect for therapy with kids, very pain tolerant. And pain tolerant as in like if a kid pokes it or pulls her ear, she needs to be like, back off, but not snap at you. So she's like super tolerant of this kind of stuff, except her back paws. She does not like being touched on her back paws by anybody. She doesn't bite, but she will make a very scary sound because she's a big dog. Okay, Shai says, continuing from Trip's show appreciation by joining her server through Ko-fi. Yeah. Okay, so if you folks don't know, I do have a Discord, and I update Discord a lot. I'm on there. There was a while there where I wasn't so much, but I'm really trying to make an effort to every day be on Discord, interacting with everybody. I try to answer every message if it's addressed to me, especially. But I put updates, pictures, messages, videos that I film throughout the day. I do have, I know I said it the last stream, I do have my Sword in the Pen Travels channel. It's created. I've got the little custom logo that I made for it. I don't know why it took me like 5 hours to make. It should have taken like 5 minutes, but it took me a while to make. There's nothing special about it, honestly. There it is again, that freaking word. There's nothing special about it. It's just the same as my Sword in the Pen Reflections logo, where I have reflections in purple, except I've changed it to travels, and it's in green. I don't know about the green color. I may change that. I wanted to do gold, but I couldn't figure out how to make it gold. That's why it took me so long. Anyway, but I want to put a lot of those videos up there. But I update on Discord as I'm doing stuff. For instance, I was recording a message while I was driving out to the boat tour yesterday, saying like, I've, really well prepared for this and nothing's going to go wrong technically, like nothing can go wrong. I'm ready for anything. So our fingers crossed that everything goes well. And I uploaded that immediately after making that. So people were getting that message almost live, like right as it was happening. And same thing on the way back, I recorded a message on the boat saying I've really tried hard, but I was definitely not ready for this level of cold, wet, and windy. It's like everything was at an extreme level that was above the extreme level I was expecting. And I thought, I was like, I'm really prepared. Like, I'm definitely ready for this. I was not ready for this. Let's see. Shadow Benito says, message retracted. Never mind. Okay, that's fine. Shy says, Galadriel should already be able to sense darkness. It's something she did before the elves came to Middle Earth. Yeah, at this point, obviously they're not following the timeline accurately. I know that they're trying to condense things. And okay, I'm not against doing this. I am, however, against shuffling the order of events, because that can have severe consequences in how you get your character to certain points. Let's see. Okay, like, so for something that you're bringing up here, she could sense evil in people before it sounds like you're saying before she left, not before she left Middle Earth. It would have been before she left what's the name of the place where they go? Oh my gosh, why am I brain farting this? The heaven place where they go. She would have been able to sense it already before she leaves there. That kind of changes the definition of what her character is. She's not out to be tricked by good and evil, but maybe be tempted by it from the very beginning. So a lot of events that are going to happen in the show are going to have to be different because she hasn't developed that ability yet. And that's why we saw in season 1, she was tricked by Sauron for so long, even though a lot of people were looking at him going, that's definitely the bad guy. They're doing some weird ass things with that character. I have no idea what they planned for him. I thought that they were going to try and be like, oh, he's really being tempted to be good. That lasted all of like 5 minutes. And then he was right back to like, nope, I'm a bad guy now. It was like for all of season 1, they were like, okay, he's definitely like struggling with the good and evil. And then in the beginning of season 2, they were showing like, okay, he gets betrayed and he comes back and he has this moment where he's like, maybe I'll do the right thing. Like, I don't know, maybe I should, do the right thing. Like, maybe I should follow the light, essentially. And then immediately he does evil. Like, what was the point of the moment of temptation? Where were they going with that? And were they going to go somewhere and then they changed their mind? I don't know. I think I got off topic. I was talking about her doing that. I think I got into that. Galadriel putting things out of order is always dangerous because it's going to change the nature of the character when certain events happen. And when that changes, it means that everything that happens afterwards has to be changed as well. Sorry, big ol' mosquito. Banter's Knave. Oh, that's to somebody else. Banter's Naven says, you are the greatest swordsman that ever lived, Trip. I am the greatest swordsman that ever lived. Trip, what happened to I dwell in darkness without you? It went away. I dwell in darkness without you and it went away. That movie is so good. I just adore that movie. I don't know why it's not known by more people. It's so well done. The humor still holds up today. I've showed that movie to people and said they've told me apart from apart from the special effects in a couple of scenes, it looks really good. Like it holds up today. Swordswoman, I don't know what that is. TYVM. I'm not up on all of the acronyms. Bantersnaven, stupid Daikini. You're just us. I stole the baby from you, Daikini, while you were taking a pee-pee. J Rambles Universe says hello to Trip. Arlene M says Elrond is actually Galadriel's stepson in the books. When is she going to have a child, a daughter who will marry Elrond? Yeah, that's odd. That is an odd thing. They're just not going to do it, I guess. I think that's the smoke from our campfire out on the lake there. I was just wondering what it was. I was like, is that a low cloud? Nope, just smoke from us. Anyway, yeah, that it's weird because it's almost like, okay, they've got this whole friendship thing going on between Galadriel and Elrond, but Elrond is the wiser one, the smarter one. And they're now in season 2, they're trying to portray him as like, oh, we thought he was the wiser one, but now Galadriel really knows what's up. They can't decide who is in what position here. And maybe they've forgotten that she's supposed to be so much older and that he's supposed to marry her daughter. It was her daughter, right? Trip is talking to somebody else. Shadow Benito says McKay and Payne wrote Rings of Power. They haven't written anything before that. That's unfortunate. Ugh. That was probably a poor choice. Look, there was a huge risk in giving the Lord of the Rings trilogy to Peter Jackson. But I think his passion for being faithful to the writing is what sold him taking this project on. People said, okay, he clearly wants to do this story justice. He wants to make it epic, make it big. I like that was it New Line who said this needs to be 3 movies instead of 2, and they were like, yes, everybody was telling us it should be 2, but we think it should be 3 also. I think about that. They are still releasing footage and we're still buying it. He did that good of a job. And I know it wasn't perfect. But no movie is going to be perfect. No show is going to be perfect. There's always something that could have been better, something that makes you go, it's a little cringy. Like there's a few scenes I cringe at in Lord of the Rings for sure. But the spirit is there. He captured the spirit, and that's so hard to do. And I don't know why I got onto this subject here. You're talking about, the new writers, they never wrote anything else before. I wonder what their pitch was. I gotta wonder, what was it that they did or said that made Amazon or whoever it was, I know a lot of people were trying to buy the rights to this. What was the deciding factor? Like, these guys are it. Like, what was that? It must have been something. Bantersnaven says, Amber's point, well illustrated with Henry Cavill in Witcher and now Warhammer. What was my point? I don't remember which point that one was, but Henry Cavill is obviously, did I say honestly? No, I said obviously. That's okay. Obviously is another one I say too much, but he definitely is a geek fan. I don't have to say that. Everybody knows. And he wants people to be faithful to the adaptations, to be faithful to the source material. And I don't understand why higher ups don't see how that is so important to doing these adaptations. We don't want you to take something that we already love and do something different with it. We're going to do it our own spin. This is our interpretation. Like, this is something totally different than what you've seen before. They think that we're sick of the old material. We're not sick of it. We want more of it. We want to see the same story, same characters, same themes. That world, we want to see it in a new medium, something that makes us go, oh my gosh, this is just how I imagined this. Or even better, holy cow, that scene never stood out to me as creepy before, but now it really is. I think I thought that the scene with the hobbits hiding from the Black Rider, I thought it was creepier in the movie than I felt like it was in the book. I loved it in the movie. There they all go, all the dogs running after something. Squeaked over there. I think it's another squirrel. Trip is talking to Arlene. Save Yourself says, the counterpoint is The Acolyte, where the showrunner, head writer are the same person. Well, then in this case, That's poor. Well, okay, wait. No. The showrunner is not the one in charge. That is something I have learned too. So we can throw a lot of blame on the showrunner, but there are people even higher up than they are, and those are the people I'm talking about who come in and say, "Nope, we're doing this instead." I don't know a lot about that particular showrunner. Maybe they've come out and said, "Yeah, this is what I'm doing and why." Um, but the thing is we throw blame on the showrunner, and I did too for a long time until I learned that's not necessarily the person who's making these decisions that we all see as bad. You can have a great showrunner who puts out a crappy show because somebody above them said, "You're going to do this and you're not going to do this." And they're going, "No, I have to do it that way or it'll be a bad story." And they go, "I don't care. I don't like it. You're going to do what I say." And they have no idea what they're doing. And that has got to stop. That cannot go on. We're just going to continue to get crap if we have people who don't know how to tell a story wielding that kind of power. They should not be doing this. Is it not universal at this point that the majority of shows that we are getting nowadays feel like fast food shows, especially in the realms of fantasy and science fiction? We get the rare show that comes out and we go, "Dang, that was really good." But it's like I'm more I'm more inclined to expect crap or fast food entertainment that really has zero value at all. I will retain nothing. I expect that more frequently than I expect something to be good. I Yeah, that's just the way that it is. Somebody has to learn that lesson, and when that's where it comes from. And I want to get more into that, but I want to talk about stuff that I need to need to make sure that I'm protecting my friends. Um, Arlene M says, "I mean son-in-law, not stepson." Yeah, I knew what you meant. Um, Carol Ray, "Hey Anya, Aunt Carol. Hi Aunt Carol, I love you." I don't know how long ago you sent that message. I'm going to try and catch up really fast here, though. Here we go. Sword and the Pen from Trip says, "We just call you Sap, Sword and Pen." Oh my gosh, really? I'm a sap? That's sad. I don't want to be sap. Come on, you guys can think of something better. J Rambles Universe says, "What's your opinion on Tom Bombadil in season 2 of Rings of Power?" Um, so I think that they've done what they're trying to do is what the books did. Well, Lord of the Rings did, where he was very mysterious and we didn't know much about who he was. But they've kind of ruined that when he flat out reveals, "I've been around since before creation and I know exactly what you're supposed to be doing, Gandalf." Like, it was more intriguing when we knew less about him and when he revealed less of what he knew. I'm indifferent. It's hard to have any feelings towards a show that you really don't care about. I'm so bored. You know what the best part of Rings of Power for me was? I've just realized today while I was watching the more recent episodes again, trying to refresh my memory as to what happened because I almost said it again. It just came in and left. Like, as other people are saying, "No, I'm not retaining anything. I really am not retaining anything. I just don't care. It's hard for me to focus on these characters." You know what the best thing is? Elrond's hair is glorious. I want whatever hair products he is using because I want my hair to look like that, but longer. If I could have that hair with those beautiful curls like that, I need to know what product he uses because this is frizzing the hell out. I've also got some grays in there, but I would like to know what you're using, hairdresser, for Elrond. Maybe it's a wig. Somebody has to style that wig though, and I'm guaranteeing that it's human hair because it looks good. That's my favorite part of the show so far is Elrond's hair. What's your opinion on Tom Bombadil? Oh, got to that. Banter's Naven. Charlie is hilarious. I love his Star Wars stuff too. Oh, the guy who does the Gandalf reacts. Man, I'm so far behind. I got to get back onto this. Summit says, "Oh, thanks for the reminder. I need to watch more Gandalf reacts since I'm caught up on show now." He's the reason to watch Rings of Power, I think. And I have not been watching season 2, keeping up with it as well as I should have. I almost did it again. I need to focus on it more so I can watch his reaction episodes and get all of the jokes. That's what I did for season 1. He does most of the voices in live stand-up, mostly visual AI. Really? He does those voices? That's impressive, but I'm pretty sure that the voices are also enhanced digitally to be more accurate to the characters. Like, the intonation is the same, like, he is it's almost like music, right? Where he's using the same or melody. He's singing the same melody that these actors would use, but a different instrument is being used now. So, like, he has his own instrument, but now they're taking, like, Gandalf's instrument and like, "Okay, now play that song." If that was a good metaphor. Charlie is an impressionist. He just uses deep fake faces. It's just the faces? I gotta know about that. Sword in the Pen Reflections. Oh, from Kalis47 says, regarding the AI deepfake videos of the Rings of Power reviews, Charlie is actually a comedian and does voice impersonate. So it is only the faces. That is impressive. That is very impressive. I was convinced that he was actually using AI voices too. Okie Native says they were in Tanchico. That's it, Tanchico. That is where Nynaeve and Elaine are, and they've just met up with the gal. What's her name? Egyanan. Yes, they just met up with her. Like, I stopped before when, like, the encounter was just happening, and Nynaeve was bashing heads with clubs, and then Elaine did one too. I'm not joking. That's what she does. Sim Miles says, "Damn, those are some nice looking waters, aren't they? Just beautiful." I almost said it again. I can't get enough of the color. It looks so refreshing. If I wasn't freezing, I would want to jump in like the dogs are, or I'd want to drink it, but I'm not going to drink it because I don't know what's been in that water. It's probably fine. It's probably not fine. I don't know. I'll get somebody from Alaska is going to be like, "No, you can't drink that water. Glacial runoff is not good for drinking." But it's this beautiful creamy aqua color. Banter Snaven says, "I hate Sorsha. She kicked me in the face." Oh, she licked me in the face, random Alaskan squirrel. If only Sorsha was here. My dog would love it here. I mean, she's built for this place, and she's so fat. She could really benefit from running around in nice, cool weather because she's in Arizona, and she's become a couch potato dog. And my mom gives her way too many treats. Sorry, Mom, I'm outing you, but you definitely give the dogs too many treats. That's why they're all fat when they come to live with us. So, Okie Native says, "I forgot Brian Regan was still alive." Oh, sad. I actually saw him. I saw him one of his shows once. He is so funny. I don't get tired of his jokes, and they seem like the kind that would you hear it once and then it's not funny afterward because it's performative. A lot of his humor is, and that's like once you've seen it, you kind of get over it. But he's so good with it, and maybe it's because it's so relatable. A lot of his jokes. Prater's in for New Spring. You should either read after Fires of Heaven, best place on reread, mild spoilerish introduction of one character on first read, or after Crossroads of Twilight on first read. I'll read it whatever the later thing is. Oh no, it's raining. Don't want my stuff to get rained on. Let's see. Tagalongs are the best Girl Scout cookies. Fight me. I like tagalongs too, but no, I think I have to go with Thin Mints as being my number one favorite. I know it's a very popular cookie. Well, it's for a reason. It's because they're chocolate mint cocaine, essentially. Okay. M. McFeet says, "I bought 2 boxes of donuts." Oh, where's my sister? She was just making that joke with me earlier about the moosin'. That's a Brian Regan joke. He talks about when he was in school and somebody his teacher was asking him, like, what is the plural word for fox? And he's like, "I don't know, foxes." And he's like, "It's foxin'." Like, "What about for moose?" And he's moosin'. It was pretty funny. Okie Native says, "In case you were wondering, the gnocchi were excellent. I pan-fried them in olive oil with cherry tomatoes, zucchini, and garlic from my garden with chicken from my backyard." So you killed a chicken for your gnocchi. Okay. I mean, hey, chicken all comes from the same source. Well, Not exactly the same, but you know what I mean. You got to get that chicken somehow. Did you really like slaughter a chicken for your gnocchi? That's kind of funny. Banter's Naven. Oh, message retracted and message retracted. Shy says the literal Girl Scout cookie. Sword and pen, the literal girl. Oh, literal Girl Scout. Yes, I was. Gosh, how many years has it been now? 30. It's been more than 35 years I've been a Girl Scout. How crazy is that? Let's see. Shy says, oh, when's the next time you'll have another Discord VC? I think that was fun. Oh, a virtual call? Is that what that is? Voice call? Video call. Okay. That last one was really random. I might do it tonight. If I find a place where I can see the Northern Lights, I'll do one tonight at 1:00 my time, which is 2:00 a.m. Pacific time. Just look up Alaska time. 1 a.m. is when it's supposed to be. And that's where I'm going to try to see it. I bet that these clouds, I mean, it's raining. Look at that. It's gotten worse. It's supposed to be clear tonight, but this is how weather is in Alaska, I guess. They tell you it's clear, and what they mean is it's this. So we'll see. But that was a random, like, I don't usually do that, but I did because I hadn't uploaded a video in a while, and I was supposed to upload one that day, but it was a disaster. So I was like, okay, I got to do something. But that was fun. I did like it. I like doing that. I might have to do that more often. But those will all be random. They'll never be announced, I think. They'll just be like, I feel like doing a voice call or a video call right now. Play History says, I watched the Star Wars trilogy, the only one in the 2000s as a kid, and they forever remain part of my cultural identity. Same here. I watched them a bit earlier than that. I've been watching them as long as I've been alive, and I've always loved them. And I introduced my little brother to it when he was just a kid, like, I don't know how old he was, maybe 4, and he wouldn't watch it. He wouldn't watch. I put on episode 4 for him, and he just wouldn't sit still. He wanted to get distracted and go off and run. And so what I did is I fast forwarded to the part where Luke is with Obi-Wan Kenobi in his hut. And I grabbed my brother's head, and he was fighting me, and I made his head face the TV, and I was like, watch, just keep watching. And as soon as Luke opened that lightsaber and went, I just let go of my brother's head because he was fixated, and it became his favorite series. And I think he was pretty young. He was either 3 or 4. He was very young. And my mom would catch him saying Darth Vader's lines every once in a while. Like, my mom got him a Tonka truck for birthday or Christmas or something. It's like this toy tractor truck that's like metal and it's heavy duty. And my brother's reaction at age 3 or 4 was most impressive. That was how he reacted to this gift that he loved for years. Let's see, Play History. And let's see, on old VHSs even. Yeah, I used to have that. I'm so upset that I didn't keep those. I don't know where they are anymore. They're probably in the trash or something, but I do not like what George Lucas added. I don't like it, and I don't want it. I want that gone, and I want the original Star Wars without that crap. I just want that. I think a lot of people would pay a lot of money to have that original. How have they not done this already? How are they just saving that for a rainy day? Like, well, when Star Wars is doing really bad, we're going to release the original version, the original theatrical version of episode 4, 5, and 6, and people will go for it. Oh my gosh, they'll do it on DVD first and then on Blu-ray. Summit says, uh-oh, mosquitoes. Amber is going to pass out from blood loss in a minute. I am delicious. The mosquitoes love me. Me and my dad, we could be standing in a room where nobody is getting bit, but we are just eaten alive. We will come out with huge welts. But apparently, if you get bitten enough, you build an immunity to their spit, which is what makes you itch. Because my sister, she doesn't put bug spray on or anything, and mosquitoes land on her and suck her blood, and she's like, I don't even feel it anymore. It doesn't get itchy, like nothing. It just takes a couple of weeks and you just get used to it. I was like, that was crazy, man. Okay, Banter's Naven says, can't find the Discord for some reason. Not that I need to banter more. The Discord is something that the link for it is sent to you if you become a patron. Now, I have been considering having a free couple of channels on the Discord that people don't have to be a patron to be a part of, so they can kind of get an idea of like what it's like. My Discord is not very well organized. I feel like I don't know what I'm doing on there most of the time, but I try to be engaging. Like once a month, we watch a movie. So we pick a day, which actually I completely forgot. I need to go in there and like figure out what day. We were probably supposed to watch one today and I just blew it, but we all vote on a day to watch a movie and then we have a theme for that. So this one is Kurt Russell. So everybody who has voted for let's go see, we all want to get together and watch a movie on this particular day. We suggest different Kurt Russell movies and then they can vote on them. Well, they don't vote on them yet, but they suggest the movies. And then I make up a list for the day of the movie. And within the first 5 minutes of that day, like let's say we're all supposed to get together on a Sunday at 5 p.m. I change the dates. Like I don't do it every day on the, every month on the same day. Like I don't do it on a Sunday at 5 every day. Like every month I do it different times and different days because I want it to work for people in different time zones. We vote on what we're going to watch and then we sit down and watch it. And we usually, we always text during it. And we've got a few pros with the gifts. Mix and Match is our reigning champion when it comes to timely and appropriate gifts. He's very good at it. And then we chat about the movie or whatever we want for like another hour and a half after it's over. This last one, what was the last one we watched? Was it Predator? Predator was the last one we watched with the Arnold Schwarzenegger, the original Predator. I know it's weird, but it's like a comfort movie for me. I love it. It's so cheesy. I just adore it. I love that it is so unabashedly macho guy and in its own way homoerotic. It's so funny. I love that movie. I know it's not supposed to be funny, but I find it hilarious. So let's see. Trip says, additional problem with the show, Moiraine, yes, she would sacrifice whomever necessary for her mission, but she did not do so blithely and made her reparations when possible. Yeah, and that was what saved her actions in the books and in the show. She's not doing that. She doesn't do it at all. I mean, even in season 1, when she was in that steam room with the lady who was the sitter of the Blue Aja, was saying like, we've sent money to the people that you've screwed over to make up for that. Moiraine was the one who does that in the books. So you kind of went like, oh, I see. Like she's doing her best, as she goes along, if she inconveniences people to make it worth their time. Like, hey, I know we just did something that ended up with your hotel being set on fire, but here's enough money to replace that hotel and then some. So it would kind of like, oh, like she just blessed them in a way. Like their misfortune became a blessing in a way. And she doesn't do that in the show. Other people do it for her. Summit says, what were we supposed to be talking about again? We're supposed to be talking about Moiraine and Galadriel. It always happens like this. That's okay. I don't mind. So when you're a book editor, that's really just you and a manuscript writing your notes in it, and then you send it off. And that's very isolating, and you have a lot of ideas in your head and you want to talk about it with people, and you get your fix on needing to have this discussion with other people by watching great YouTube videos. Like Hello Future Me is one of my favorite. I've said it a bunch of times. He's like one of the best story tubers I've ever come across, and the quality of his videos is above any college university lecture on creative writing that I've ever had. I would highly recommend, if you want to be a good writer, watch every one of his video essays, because you will learn more in that than you will, like I said, in a university, because I've taken those classes. Unless you're going to do the Brandon Sanderson thing, like his lectures are great. But I would even put Hello Future Me's videos above the uploads of Brandon Sanderson's lectures. Not that I'm saying he's smarter or better, but he's put together a real quality video essay with every single one of them. All right, moving on. Let's see. Praterson. Oh, TYVM means thank you very much. Got it. I will hopefully remember that. Trip says, thank you. I still maintain Willow is better than Princess Bride. You can't compare them. They're two different things. They're not the same. Willow was taken more seriously. The Princess Bride was not. The Princess Bride was aware of the audience, it was actually doing the kind of humor that we see often today, but it's dried up and it fails a lot today. Princess Bride was it was its own animal. There's no other way to explain it. But Willow was a serious adventure fantasy. It had everything in it though, including humor. But its scary moments were scary. Its action moments were so exciting. Oh my gosh, the soundtrack for Willow has to be one of my all-time favorite soundtracks. I think it's James Horner did the soundtrack for Willow. That that chase scene, the tavern chase scene with Mad Mardigan dressed as a woman fighting off Sorsha's warriors or whatever is hilarious. Well, I mean, okay, that's a hilarious scene, but the music is so epic. It is so exciting, so adventurous. Willow is what Pirates of the Caribbean was. I would say it's even better at it because the drama for me in Willow feels more like we took this seriously. I don't know why people don't think the ending was good. Like, oh, she just happened to knock over these spells and then she, got caught up in her own thing. I was like, I thought that was perfect. I thought that she was the Bavmorda character was so wrapped up in I'm in control of everything. Like, look how she freaked out when her daughter betrayed her. She just lost her mind, like turned her into a pig. She was ready to kill her own daughter, and twice. First as a pig, and then second by throwing her into a bunch of spikes. I loved that when she thought that Willow actually did send the baby to another dimension where evil could not touch her. And like this meant that Bavmorda would never win because the baby spirit would come back and be reborn and would still win in the end. It just shocked her. Like she couldn't believe that it had happened. I know it's not super, super clever, but it works. It works for her character. And Willow doing this parlor trick works great too, because they had him doing it in the very beginning. And, people were laughing at him for this trick, this magician's trick that he could do that wasn't real magic. And everyone was saying, you need to learn real magic. Like you have to learn real magic. And it was one of his fun little parlor tricks that saved the day at the end. So it's just back in the day when movies were just so complete and well thought out. Christopher Lambert says, I believe New Spring was published between books 10 and 11. Okay, I'll figure it out. Shai says, a problem I see often, there always has to be someone wiser or stronger. They can't be equals with wisdom and strength unique to them that complements the other. Are we talking about like Galadriel and Elrond at this point? I think that might be what you're talking about specifically. That might be because there's this belief that you have to have characters in conflict with each other. And like as in they're opposing each other, but sometimes they don't need to be opposing each other. They could have different ideas of how to get to a same goal, but it's not like they're against each other. Like you don't have to have them in complete opposites. I think they've kind of started to do that with Galadriel and Elrond, but it came out of left field. Nothing feels like it makes sense in Rings of Power. Like nothing is leading from one event into the next. Didn't I hear another reviewer saying something like that about Rings of Power? I don't remember, but it's very accurate that's the case. They can't be equals with wisdom and strength unique to them that complements the other. Yeah, and they should be. Especially the elves, which live so long. They have so much maybe they don't even have that much experience. They have a unique experience, not a human-like experience, but a unique experience of its own. Like I liked that Elrond screwed up and neglected his friendship with the dwarf in season 1, because I was like, I never thought of that. But for an elf, he wouldn't think that, I haven't been around for 20 years. That's not a big deal because it's just 20 years. When you live hundreds of years, 20 years doesn't feel like a whole lot. But to a dwarf, that's like half a lifetime. Well, I don't know how long dwarves live. I know they live a pretty long time, but it's still a very long time for them because so much in their life happens. They age so much, they go through so much. And that's not what an elf would experience, especially if they're living with other elves. Let's see. Christopher Lambert says the original plan was to make many prequel books, but Robert got bad news and dedicated the rest of his time to doing as much work on the main books as he could. Oh, okay. So he found out that he was sick, and so he was trying to finish up the series. Well, that good for him doing that. If he knew that the fans would have wanted to know the rest of the story. And I know, didn't he collaborate with Brandon Sanderson while he was still alive? Like, this is what I'm going to do with the books. I'm not sure if I know that. I don't know. I think I heard that somewhere. Let's see. Play History says talking to Christopher Lambert, so I will skip that. Trip says Helm's Deep never grabbed me in the book like it does now after seeing it on screen. That's a great example. See, sometimes somebody else has a different vision of the scene, the same thing that you have read, and they can enhance certain things from it that you didn't stand out to you because of your own personal experience, but they put it up on screen. Like, that's why we like to see these things done. Like, it is still book accurate, just certain parts of it stood out more to them, and so that they've made sure that that's not lost in, oh my gosh, okay, my phone's fine, never mind. They make sure it's not lost in the adaptation. Let's see. Trip says, I still place blame and responsibility with the showrunner. I know. And I think that's where we all can say, like, oh, it's this person's fault, because they're in charge of it. I've just become more aware that they're not as in charge of it as I thought. They are not God of the project. They are certainly like the conductor. They're in charge of doing stuff for it and making sure that it all kind of happens. But if somebody above them says you have to do this thing, they have to do that. And it happens way more often than I ever could have thought. Banter's Naven says, I'm guilty of just blaming the showrunner because of how the brothers antagonize the Wheel of Time fans. Oh, yeah. Okay. That is just bad PR from the beginning. Like, why would you insult your pre-existing audience? That's just stupidity. I don't understand that at all, but it seems immature to me. And if have they done anything else before? Or was that was Rings of Power? I think that was Rings of Power. Anyway, Ulbelk says, I think there is enough from the Wheel of Time showrunner to blame him the appropriate amount. Yeah, I think, the disrespecting the fans kind of opens them up to any criticism you want at this point. That's just not a good thing to do. Trip, this is not Rings of Power, man. This is a Wendy's. What is that? What am I missing? This is not Rings of... Oh, got it. I think when I was talking about fast food. Matt Potter says, haven't read Lord of the Rings books, but I'm working my way through things Peter Jackson changed on the Fact or Fantasy channel. It's really interesting. Have you watched them? No, I haven't. I would be interested to see that. Like, I'm aware, like, I've read The Lord of the Rings several times, but it's been a while since I've read all the way through. I think maybe like a while, probably around 5 to 10 years almost. It's been a while, but I've read them many times before. Now, then when the movies came out, I just watched that because I enjoy it so much. But yeah, I know that there's a lot that was changed. I don't think all the decisions that were made were great, but I think there were so many that were great that it's like one of those situations where you go, look, I don't expect it to be perfect. I expect it to be mostly perfect. And I think he did that. I think he did the latter. He got it mostly perfect. But I have not watched them. I would love to check them out. Shai says, Amber, yes, you are a sap. Thanks. Ubelk says, you could read Elfstones and then watch Chronicles of Shannara for a quick adaptation evaluation. I have seen Chronicles of Shannara when it came out. I think I wanted to see what the hell it was. And it is definitely, from what I think I said this in a previous stream, I get the impression that it's not what I typically gravitate towards. I watched the whole thing, the whole show, and I know that it didn't finish the show, which I was like, why did I watch this if they didn't even finish it? I should have looked it up first. But I'm usually not into young adult fantasy with, like, what are they called? Love triangles or love squares or whatever, stuff like that. That doesn't intrigue me. I kind of just roll my eyes. But if it's got something really good in it, something else about it that's really unique to it and well done, I will definitely be open to it. And it seemed like a unique world to me, so I was interested in that. Summit says, Tom Bombadil, I didn't see anyone with a blue coat and yellow boots in Rings of Power. That's right. He didn't have a blue coat. He was kind of just like a desert hobo. I don't even know what you call him. Like, whatever. Who knows what they're doing with him. Trip, Elrond's hair or Anatar's hair? No, Elrond's hair. It's Elrond's hair. Anatar's hair is pretty good too, but there's the volume that we're getting with the curls. I'm just loving it. Add about 5 inches to that, and that's what I want. Somebody else is talking to somebody else. Louise Sparrow says, they've made Galadriel responsible for everything that goes wrong through her actions, but she will end up being right because the show needs her to be. I think you're right. I think that, yeah, that's actually a very good way of saying it. I have a feeling that's exactly what they're going to do. Because I don't see them showing her as being wrong in a way that causes her to say, I was proud when I shouldn't have been. And I don't see her being humble that way. There's a little duck over there. It's cute. What was it in episode, was it 4? Where she's like, oh, where she goes and saves everybody. She saves all the elves by going to fight the orcs and like, I'll distract them, you go. And she gives them the ring and they take the ring away and they're like, she sacrificed herself to save us. And Elrond's like, no, she sacrificed herself to save the ring. I was just like, oh my gosh, is it like, look at that. Let's see if I can. So it's hard to see, but that is a couple doing a photo shoot for their wedding. She's in her wedding dress and he is in a tuxedo. And that is really sweet, but I'm not going to disturb them. Anyway, this is a place that the locals really only seem to know about. Let's see. Ubelk says, I don't want to cause her any actual harm. Oh, okay. Summit says, don't drink that water, fish shit in it. This is true. Oh, that's gross. Those of you who have been on my Discord probably saw I uploaded a video of an otter that I saw yesterday, and it was eating like a dead fish head. Gross. Arlene M says, makes me want to rewatch the Northern Exposure series. Yeah, I really do need to rewatch that show, but it's I recall it being good. And I know my parents watched it like when it was airing, and I think I tried to find a clip for it recently to put in one of my Wheel of Time videos. I don't remember. Machine Gun Bunny says, no such thing as too many treats for good doggos. This is true. No such thing. But they need to have enough exercise to work it off. Otherwise, they just become big tubs. We tease my mom about her dog. She has a Chihuahua Basenji mix. And we tease her about, like, this dog is like a butterball turkey, like just round. But she's lost a lot of weight. She's probably lost about half her body weight. Oh my gosh, that poor fat little dog. Deleting stuff so Amber can catch up. Oh, you don't need to do that. I'll catch up. I will do. Okay, focus now. J Ramble's universe. Orcs can have babies, but Tolkien never went into detail. But is it the same as what we would picture a human family relationship? I think sort of like how elves should not be like humans, orcs should not be like humans either. I think it's perfectly acceptable to have the nature of certain animals or certain beings, not animals, beings, be different, alien from real life. That's perfectly acceptable, especially in fantasy, where you have such strong and powerful themes as good and evil, where you have angels of creation at work physically in the world that your story takes place. It's totally fine to have creatures that are evil. They're pure evil. Machine Gun Bunny says, haha, that's a good idea. I don't know what that was, whatever referring to. Todd Jackson says, the Sword in the Pen reflections. Don't drink the water. It has defrosted alien parasites that have been frozen in the glaciers for millions of years. Probably, man, can you think of, so I used to be friends, well, not used to be, still am, a guy who was a geologist, and he would take core samples from all over the world, but like Iceland and Antarctica, and he would talk about some of the things that they would find in these core samples, which is basically like a tube of of dirt sample, but they would shoot it really deep into the earth and pull it up, and then you can see like things that were in existence, a million years ago or whatever. And first of all, he would come over and show us slides, and they were always so interesting. But just thinking that you can look at something like here is something that has been perfectly preserved for more than 1,000 years. Just more than 1,000 is impressive to me, and to have it like this is hundreds of thousands of years old. It's mind boggling to me that we're able to find things like this. And I don't know. I know the whole Jurassic Park idea is so brilliant. I think we've tried to do it with mammoths. Haven't we tried to bring back woolly mammoths? Did we actually do that? Am I remembering something wrong? Did we actually recreate woolly mammoths? I think we did. Okay, next. I gotta go fast. Okay. Deaf Knight says, "Hey, Summit, 1 a.m. your time is way too late everywhere else. Oh, sorry. Maybe you can set an alarm and wake up. That's what I'm gonna do. I mean, 1 a.m. I'm not gonna stay up until then. I'm old. I go to bed early." Shy says, "I was excited for a second there." Oh, what did I do? Trip, I'd love an Aurora Borealis voice chat, but as much as I love you, I'm not staying up until 3 a.m. I maybe I'll record it. If there is something like that, I promise to record it, and that way people can see it after it's happened. It's probably not going to be as spectacular on video, though. Okie Native says, "I killed the chicken for dinner. Science has proven that plants know when they are being eaten or injured, and I just cut zucchini off the vine and yanked tomatoes off." You really killed the chicken for dinner. That's smart. Do you live on a ranch or a farm? Machine Gun Bunny says, "Most impressive." Yes, the Tonka truck was most impressive. Okie Native says, "The chicken was the lucky one." Also, Doggos in the background is almost as good as the otter. It is. I told you, it's like National Geographic. I point it towards the couple. Oh, they're getting photographed. This is okay. This is very sweet. I don't want to blow it for them, but at least I know it's just photographs, not video. Trip says George Lucas has said that the original version of Star Wars is gone and the special editions are the definitive versions. I call BS. Somebody has got the original versions, and if they reproduce them and it gets sold on DVD, Blu-ray, or even just digital, I would love a 4K episode 4, 5, and 6, the original versions. I pay probably a lot of money for it. I think a lot of people would. Banter's Naven says, "Mosquitoes are attracted to blood types and pheromones. Really, most popular type is O, and pregnant women are targeted." I think my dad is type O. I don't know what type I am, but I don't think I am type O because my mom is not. Trip says, "Lucas has basically said those originals are gone." Nope, I don't believe it. Banter's Naven says, "Ew, spelling. Can't fix it now." Oh, that's okay. I spell things wrong all the time and I'm an editor. It happens. We all do it. Uh, Soldier, Big Trouble in Little China and Overboard are the best Kurt Russell movies. The Thing has an honorable mention. Big Trouble in Little China and Overboard, major favorites in my family, especially Overboard. Overboard is a very special favorite, and I think Big Trouble is a big favorite for a lot of people because it's obviously amazing. Banter's Naven, Escape from New York is becoming a reality. Okie Native says Escape from New York is just a documentary from the future, not really a movie. We disconnected for a second there, but now we're back. Not really a movie, not fiction at least. It's funny how many science fictions seem to be coming true, or we seem to be seeing them happen in real life. Machine Gun Bunny says, "From Brian, hey Amber, I miss you and I know it is hard to be away, but have a great time and I miss you. Kiss, kiss. See you soon and we can make more kid reviews and finish my Harry Potter video." Oh gosh, I'm sorry, Brian, I still have not finished your Harry Potter review. You made a really long one this time. Were you talking to me? She wasn't talking to me. Yeah, so Brian is my nephew, and oh, the dog is going after or is stalking the couple. Uh, bye, Brian. Go. It's probably really late, so nighty night, and kiss your sister for me, and be good for your mom and dad. They both worked very hard. Let's see. Next one is, and I promised to get your Harry Potter review done. Rooksgate says, "Do you think Rings of Power can be saved? If so, how?" It can't. I'm so sorry about this, but this is actually, it will be more obvious in the video that I'm hopefully going to be able to release next, which is my Theon Greyjoy treatment video where I talk about that. And it's sort of an explanation of, not the whole thing, but part of it. I go into an explanation of why you can't fix certain things, like characters like Moiraine or Galadriel, not in the way that they have been presented in the shows. Galadriel may be a little bit more fixable, but probably at this point not, because I'm not sure if they know what direction they're trying to go with her. But I'll watch that when it comes out, and I think you'll see what I mean by I don't think it can be fixed. And a big part of that, I'll just say now, is because they're not using logic. So if you don't have a character that makes logical sense, you could do anything with this character and it will be believable because nothing that they're doing makes sense. Maybe not nothing, but a lot of the things that they do don't make sense. So if your character is not focused and not making like a distilled character, like we have a focus for where this character is going, what they think, what their ideas are, like if they don't seem well defined and they don't make any sense, like a lot of their decisions and the things that they do and the way they behave don't make sense, you can't fix that. It's like, I think one of the analogies I used was, you've got a bunch of egg cartons and chicken drumsticks, and I need you to make a car out of that. That's what it's like. It doesn't make any sense at all, and it's very sad and unfortunate. But I do talk about something that you can do to satisfy your audience, as far as this person is unlikable, and we need them to be less unlikable. And just watch that video when it comes out. Banters Naven says, oh, that's not to me. Shy says, shame Dane wasn't here to hear you say that. I don't remember what I said. Christopher Lambert is not talking to me. Todd Jackson is not talking to me. Tripp says, I need to get Amber into a debate with Pips about Willow versus Princess Bride. they can't be compared. You can't, they're not in competition with each other. They're not in the same genre. They're completely different types of stories. Christopher Lambert's talking to Tripp, not me. Tripp says, Pips and I have that debate often. He even did a live watch of Willow as he had not seen it. He says Princess Bride is better because it's more memeable. That doesn't make something better. But again, it's not the same thing. Yes, Princess Bride is memeable, but you're not going to have a battle between good and evil like you do in Willow. Willow is the very essence of Willow is a story between good and evil, just like Star Wars. Like, I mean, it was written by George Lucas when he was very focused on these things. Let's see. Banter's Naven, the Mad Mardigan chase scene doffs the hat to the classic trickster hero of old, complete with the cross-dressing and bastards Shakespeare loved so much. Yeah, Mad Mardigan, okay, Mad Mardigan is essentially a fantasy version of, and slightly less honorable version of Han Solo. That's what he is, but I still love that character. But yeah, he's a classic character type, but done so well. Both actors did good jobs with their respective characters, Mad Mardigan and Han Solo. Rooksgate says, the Willow movie was a decent, real fantasy movie. Yeah, exactly. Rooksgate also says, do you think a Tales of Young Aragorn would have been a better approach to Lord of the Rings TV show? It depends on what they're going to do with it. I think there was a missed opportunity with Rings of Power. They could have done each season is a different age, where we see a story about, a specific group of events that happens, in a certain period of time in a certain place in Middle Earth. And then we have a leap forward to another age, and it's different characters, but the elves are the same. Like it's the same elf characters. And so we can have continuous theme with the elves, like them not maturing, but yeah, kind of maturing. The changes that they go through would happen much more slowly. So we can have a thread for them that's continuous, where we see something is progressing with these characters and we have a plan for where it ends for them. But with the humans, it's shorter stories. I would have loved that. I think everybody would have liked that. I mean, think about how many people would have been like, I really want to be in the next Lord of the Rings season. Like, please cast me as one of the humans. And then you have a role in the Lord of the Rings series. Even if you're not like a main character for the whole series, you're there for like a season. Jules, come on, let's go. The dogs were disturbing the wedding photo shoot. Okay. Rook's Gate. Dane Bornhold says, oh, Dane's here. So I don't know what it was they wanted you to hear me say. I can't remember. Brandon Sanderson and Robert Jordan never met in person. Brandon Sanderson and BS wrote a tribute to Robert Jordan after his passing, and that brought him to Harriet's attention. Oh, that's nice. Summit says, you were able to watch all of that crap? No, I wasn't. I did not even finish episode 5 because I could not focus on it. I just couldn't. I am struggling like I have never struggled before to watch this show. Let's see. Trip says, the Shannara show was terrible. Yeah, I didn't think it was all that great, but I could see what it was, I could see the kind of story it was telling. And if that's at all what happens in the book, like I get it. But I have also been told it just did a terrible job of representing themes and the feel of the books. So I'm always open to like, yeah, I probably don't know what it was about. But what I saw did not incline me to read the books. Let's see. Trip, I had such hopes. Well, we always have hopes. I always have hopes. Like, and I know everybody's like, oh, I don't want to see this, what was the show? The new one coming out. It's the animation, The War of the Rohirrim. I know a lot of people are like, oh, red flags galore, red flags galore. I can see how these ideas might actually work. And I think in the hands of the right writer, they can be done well. I mean, if somebody were to pitch you the idea of Éowyn today, I think we would all be like, oh, they're going to screw it up. It's going to be terrible. No, I'm not going to see that. It's going to be some girl boss. Like, she's going to kill the Witch King and like, I'm no man. We would probably hate it. But in the right hands, it can be done so well. And it was. And I loved the actress's portrayal of Éowyn. I loved the way that her story was represented. I loved how tragic her love story was. That she was always the one being left behind. She's an emotionally pained character. Like we are in pain watching her be rejected by Aragorn. I mean, I am. I'm like, girl, you deserve to have whatever guy you want. And I'm so sorry that it wasn't Aragorn. Faramir's okay though. He's pretty good too. So he was underappreciated also. So they're two underappreciated people who find each other. My sister just said we should turn the camera over that way. It is pretty. Oh, Alaska. I cannot tell you how many times I have listened to the soundtrack to White Fang, the 1995 Disney movie, since being up here. I must have listened to it about, I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 times. I just play it while I'm driving places. I have to do a lot of driving here because stuff is spaced out, man. If you want to go from one town to another, it's like an hour drive. And sometimes there's not a grocery store in a town. Sometimes you have to drive to the next town to go to the grocery store. Let's see if I can maybe keep that view. Well, we're getting close to the end. Okay, either it's dark on me or bright on that. So I'll try and keep it like this. Thanks for pointing that out though. All right. Let's see. Louise. Okay, Summit says that's what she said. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, the new animation, The War of the Rohirrim. Like, I think it could be good. I don't like the way my face looks in the light. No, there we go. Now I look beautiful. Look at that smoke. That's crazy. Okay. Let's see. Louise Sparrow says, Shannara is a great series. They picked the worst book to adapt in the first place. Series 1 is the whole story. They made series 2 up. Oh, really? That's a shame. Well, I didn't know that. I didn't realize that they had compressed it so much. But all right, I'm writing off the series yet more and more. Let's see. Ubelk says, talking to Trip. And Trip is talking to Dane. Trip is talking to Ubelk. Ubelk is talking to Trip. Shai says, of course he arrives. Yes. Trip says, I love Northern Exposure. LOL, I have the DVDs. I found them online somewhere because I did pull a clip at one point for, I don't know if it actually made it into one of my videos, but I know it's somewhere. Banters Naven says, Terry Brooks is a case study in improving as a writer. His forewords in the Shannara series explain how he had a great editor like Amber teach him how to write well. He had the ideas needed to refine. Nobody, I don't think, can go without an outside opinion looking in and saying, this doesn't come across the way that you want. Like I said, I am an editor and I screw up in my own writing. I know that my writing is not great. And I know that when I even just text message people, I know I misspell words and I'm like, well, that's embarrassing, but what am I going to do? It's already out there. Sometimes you're so blind to the things that you intend. Like I intended it to be this, so that's what you think it is. But when somebody else looks at it, they go, that's not what it was to me. And then you realize, oh, okay. I mean, it's just good to have outside eyes look at your work. And they don't even have to be all that experienced. They just got to kind of know how to articulate what they are getting from your writing and how it doesn't work for them the way that you as the writer intended it to work. Let's see. DK says, hey, yeah. Summit says, last time I checked, there were 3 companies around the world working on creating woolly mammoths. Really? I would love to see a woolly mammoth. I think I put it on my Instagram. Weta has released a video of a woolly mammoth that's just 2 guys in a suit, but it looks so good. Go check it out. It's on my Instagram. I'm getting cold here, though. We're going to have to close this up soon. Like, I'm getting too cold to continue, kind of cold. There is a project to revive the woolly mammoth by 2017. Cloning. Wow. Or 2027. That's not far. That's 3 years from now. Oh my gosh, I would love that. Louise X Sparrow says, I love Overboard. I don't think that Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell have, well, okay, Goldie Hawn has not had a better role, I'm convinced. Kurt Russell has had a few that were great. Like, I think Jack Burton is probably Kurt Russell's most iconic role. I know a lot of people are going to say, no, it's the guy from Escape from New York, which I don't think so. If he was that iconic, I would be more familiar with what his name is. Jack Burton is iconic. He is the side character who doesn't realize that he's a side character. That's how the director, I forget what his name is, described Jack Burton. Like, this is the sidekick who doesn't realize he's the sidekick. He thinks he's the main guy. And it is such a great perspective because it turns this, if you've not seen it, you should see it because it is a unique kind of story and the humor in it still works today. Anyway, moving on. Matt Potter says, I thought that couple was a giant penguin. They're not there anymore. That is kind of funny though. Giant penguin. For a second, must book that appointment to get my eyes checked. Is my phone zoom was not that good, and they didn't look far from me, but because this is such a wide angle lens, it made them look teeny tiny in the back. Dane Bornhold says, Jaime Lannister is a great example of an unlikable character that was made likable using logic and explaining backstory. The character has to make sense. We have to look at his actions and with it, like what you're saying, from a new perspective, say, oh, it makes perfect sense why we didn't like him because we thought, wow, what a horrible, evil thing to do. But then when we get the backstory, we get the context from his perspective, we go, oh, I can kind of see why he did that. And from his point of view, it wasn't bad. That's a great way of explaining that. Jaime Lannister is good, and except the end. I have mixed feelings about what they did with Jaime Lannister in the end of the show. I don't know what the plan is for the end of him in the books because we haven't gotten there. Trip says, now we need to have a Willow watch on the server. Maybe we will. Maybe I'll be like, hey, it's raining and I don't feel like filming in the rain and freezing my ass off. Let's watch Willow. Could happen. Also, I'm thinking I might do some Jack London stuff. I downloaded all the Jack London because I got myself into the mood while listening to the White Fang soundtrack, which is a great soundtrack. Trip. Oh, already said that. Real Ji Kwan says, I'm hoping they don't screw up the hunt for Gollum the way they blew the Rings of Power. I think it's in the hands of different people. I think it's in the hands of closer to Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings hands than Rings of Power, but I'm not sure. You never know. Just like I'm not willing to condemn something before it comes out. I'm not usually willing to get hyped up about something before it comes out. I when I say like I like what they're saying they're going to do with the War of the Rohirrim, I like what the trailer is saying they're going to do. And if you have not seen it, the Japanese trailer for the War of the Rohirrim has way different footage and presents a different story, and it looks way better. Like this is, I think people who were pissed off about some of the things that they were doing in the trailer that the English version got, like the Americans and I think probably Great Britain got the same one. They would watch the Japanese one. Like if that's the one we got, we wouldn't have had those feelings. So go check it out if you haven't seen it because it's a very different trailer. Arlene M says Sword of Shannara was a copy of Lord of the Rings, but the Elfstones book was very good in my humble opinion. The TV series was awful. That seems to be the consensus. Real Ji Kwan says gorgeous location. Yeah, I know. I'm so lucky. And one more time, let's look over there. Look at that. And hopefully, and there's the little campfire. That's the tent that took me forever to put up because the tent poles were way longer than the sleeves that they were supposed to get tucked into. And I've put up lots of tents. I know they're tight. That was one that doesn't fit. I almost broke the tent poles and they were made out of carbon fiber or whatever, fiberglass. Okay. Banter's Naven says, so what would the cardinal sin of Moiraine and Galadriel be summed up as? I would say for Moiraine, I would say it's a disregard for other people. And I know that that's, seems like it's a small thing, but when you apply that to everybody that she has had a disregard for, it includes Lan, it includes the kids, it includes anybody that she has done anything manipulative to. And that is strictly a show thing because she has not been doing that in the books. Like her manipulation of people is far more clever in the books. She is still presented as very likable, but when you start seeing her actions through the perspective of like Rand, for example, and he starts going like, I don't want to be pushed to do certain things by her. I don't want to be led into this life, like this action that she wants me to do. I don't want that. I feel pressured to do. He doesn't like that feeling. You can see where that comes from, even though she's very clever about how she does it. But so yeah, her disregard of other people, I think, is probably the most unlikable thing because the worst things that she does are to Lan and yeah, to Lan for sure. That's the one that she does the worst stuff to, and there's a few other characters. But the cardinal sin that the writers have committed is making her stupid. And that is not a character flaw, like as an intentional thing, because I'm not going to hold somebody responsible for being dumb, but they've screwed up. The writers screwed up in making her do things that are completely idiotic, that don't make sense for her to be doing. And for Galadriel, lack of humility, and that I don't need to explain that one. She has no humility. And for the writers, their cardinal sin in writing her is making, I think somebody else said it in the chat, they're right, making her right in the end. So even when she's like, oh, she's everything bad is happening because of her, she's still right in the end. And that kind of justifies her lack of humility, which is infuriating because that level of pride is not likable in anybody. So anyway, moving on. We're going to quickly zip through this because now my hands are so cold I can't take them out of my pockets. Jeremy McCabe says, you yelled like my mom. I did. Oh, I'm sorry. What? Who did I yell? Oh, I yelled at the dogs. Yeah. Well, they were going after that poor couple trying to get pictures for their wedding. My sister was yelling at them and they weren't listening to her. And sometimes you just got to have a foreign voice yelling your name and you go, oh, well, who's yelling my name? It's like when you when you help a mom at the grocery store, she's like trying to get her kids to do something, and the kid certainly looks at you and you go, and they go, why is this person looking at me like that? And then they behave. Play History says Jordan and Harriet, but even she failed to pull back his excesses. Oh, Jordan had Harriet. Oh, okay. I haven't gotten to that point in the book, so I can't say anything about that. Summit says Snake Plissken. Oh yeah, that's Kurt Russell in Escape from New York. Banter's Naven says Amber, cold from blood loss. She doesn't realize just how many mosquito bites she's gotten. It's possible. Shy says, is Alaska just northern Florida? Is Alaska just northern Florida? Oh, you mean like people come here in the summer? Yeah. So a lot, from what I know, oh my gosh, and this is a weird thing. So there are very few roads in Alaska. There's like one highway that goes down the peninsula, which is where I am. And then there's like one road that goes north. And then there's one road that goes out towards the westish area, southern westish area. There's very few roads. There's so much unconquered land here. It really is the last frontier. Like there's so little of the land here is actually lived in. It's huge ranges of mountains where you know that there are no houses. It's national forest. There's not even trails that go out there. Anyway, okay, we're gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna zing through these, and as soon as I've caught up, I'm cutting it off. James Alexander says, Jeremy Lannister became such a good character that I hope the books don't go down that road. Yeah, me too. They really screwed him up in the show. Dane Bornhold says, in case the whole stream didn't talk about Moiraine being ruined, when she found out about the Trolloc and didn't warn Emmons Field in episode 1, she was ruined. Yeah, but did she warn him about it? She didn't know about them in the books. So that's her excuse. See, that just that small thing, like they had her know about it. Anyway, you get it. Because she knew about the Trollocs in advance in the show, it made her not warning the people unlikable. Maybe that choice was like, wow, why would you do that? Why would you let them just go and die? Oh, look, the penguin's back. Oh, they're really cute. Just that little change had a huge consequence for the likability of the character. Real G Kwan says, I'm really enjoying the Wheel of Time adaptation, even if it is a new story compared to the books. Okay, see, you're totally allowed to enjoy these. I know a lot of people are like, you can't like it. It's, horrible. There's a lot of stuff that is not objectively good that I enjoy. I think I've said it before. One of my secret guilty pleasures is Lex, which has to be the weirdest ass show I've ever seen. And I won't get into it because it's just too weird. But there it is. It's garbage. It's absolute trash. But there's something about it. I just like it. I haven't seen it in at least 10 or 15 years. Trip. Don't forget Hightower and Justice for the Horse. What am I missing? Oh, for the horse that died? Or that she cut the head off? And Justice, yeah, she didn't need to cut its head off. She could have just taken it with her. Somebody else brought that up in a previous stream. And don't forget Hightower. What did I miss in Hightower? What was Hightower? Play History says Harriet was his editor, Harriet McDougal, who he married. Yes. I did know about that. Dane Bornhold says Harriet mailed it in by book 7. Mailed it in, I guess. Okay, so she gave up on trying to stop Brandon Sanderson from doing stuff. I haven't seen what he's done, so I can't comment on that. Preacher's Inn says, at least Moraine's character assassination wasn't as bad as Abel Cawthon's. Yeah. Well, even just Matt. What did they do with him? He's way better in the books. It's not even close to the same character. At least with Perrin, I can say, like, yeah, he's similar. Nynaeve, yeah. Egwene, Elaine. But Matt, what is that? What have they done? I don't know if he ever becomes like that, but he's not like that at all by book 4. So, oh, look at the mist. The Yeti are out. Time to go. What? That's not mist. That is a smoky fire. It's just a little bit wet out here, so it's very smoky. Okay, I got like 3 more and that's it, and then we're calling it. The dude Moiraine drowned in episode 2 of season 1. Oh yeah, in the whirlpool. Whew, I'm cold. Trip says Master Hightower, the fairy owner, yep, that she did not save or even warn. They just stood there and watched him die. There was nobody tried to stop him. Nobody like, hey, don't jump in that water, you're gonna die. There was no reason for that. Play History says Jordan was still writing book 7. Oh, got it. Okay. Why did I think you said Harriet phoned it in? I missed something. That's okay. I'm too cold to think about it. Let's see. We got Trip says, what did they do to my Matt? I don't know, but it's not Matt. That is not Matt from the books at all. Real G Kwan says, thanks for the stream. You are very welcome. I love doing this. Like, to me, this is one of my favorite things to do because I actually get to interact with you guys instead of it just being in the comments. And half the time when I reply to as many comments as I possibly can. I've missed a few lately because I've just been on the road and sometimes no reception, but I try to respond to as many as possible, like all of them if I can. But a lot of people don't even respond to my responses. I reply and nobody like, oh yeah, the conversation doesn't continue. I'm like, why did I bother replying? I love having an engaged conversation, engagement like this. Matt got eviscerated, says Play History. Yes, he did. Banters Naven says, yes, thank you. Dane Bornhold says, go warm up. Great stream. You are very welcome. And yes, I'm going to warm up. Play History says, anyhow, have a good one. Don't freeze. Trip says, go get warm. Great stream. You even had some curl in your hair. Yep, just a tiny bit left. It's too humid here. I don't even bother. Like, why do I try? Like, I may have put a little too much oil in there because I curled my hair 2 days in a row and I thought I was going to destroy it. Let's see. Matt Potter says, thanks for the stream. Go get warm. I will. Banters Naven says, everyone asks, who is Amber, not how is Amber? Yeah, nobody asks how I know. I'm good. When I get to talk to you guys, I have a good time. Summit says, I tried to engage with you on the last video, but you never responded again. Oh no, I'm sorry. Did I not? Which video was that? I thought I replied to everything. I have not been on in a couple days though on YouTube to reply to some of the comments. But sometimes I just have to catch up, like take a day to take an hour. I usually try to do like an hour a day. When I first load up a video though, sometimes I'll spend the whole next day just replying to comments. But it's been a while since I've had to do that. Save Yourself says, come on, Summit, this format of reading all the comments makes it difficult for any more than a handful of people. I think he's talking about the videos on YouTube. But anyway, okay, I beat it. I finally got ahead of everybody. So no more comments. I'm not replying to anybody else. That is the end. Keep an eye out for the next video that is coming out. It will be me in an orange shirt. And it's my Greyjoy treatment where I do talk a little bit about why I think Moiraine and Galadriel cannot be saved. Well, especially Moiraine. Like there's no fixing her. But it does discuss how would you even approach a character like this and trying to make them likable. There's a first step that has to be taken and she needs it bad. So that is what the video is about. Anyway, that is it. I hope you had a good I hope you enjoyed and I hope you love this beautiful view. I'm just going to say, please like, subscribe, and comment, even if you just leave an emoji. It's a free way to support this channel. Otherwise, if you're feeling super generous, check out my Patreon, Ko-fi, or hit the money heart thanks button down below. You can become a monthly subscriber, or you can leave me a one-time tip. That's it. Be good to yourself. Now I got to figure out how to make this thing stop. I have no idea how to make it stop. Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Yes.